The gates of WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca are over 2,000 miles away from GRIDLIFE's home base in Chicago. But the end of the year trek to California marks the final stop on the festival tour. GRIDLIFE's series of music and motorsports festivals span from South Carolina to Michigan to Wisconsin and Connecticut, and we finish our season on the West Coast at one of North America's most historic tracks. A warm and sunny welcome to those here and around the country joining us this weekend for racing, time attack, drift, and rush SR, and our annual California Celebration of Speed begins now. Hi everybody, Kyle Heyer, joined by Greg Kramer for our last festival tour event of the season. Greg, this is round number 5. These are the big ones. We got music, motorsports, drift, and everything else lined up for a full weekend of racing here in California.
What makes the paddock vibe of GRIDLIFE. Everything is here, and it is spectacular. I'll tell you, that stage that is set up is some serious stuff. Can't wait to hear the music coming out of that. And at this absolutely historic, wonderful racetrack, can't wait to get this going. Yeah,
it really is a beautiful facility here, and we're so excited to be here for the second year in a row. But this broadcast is brought to you by Falcon, the official tire of GRIDLIFE Track Battle, and NOS Energy, the official energy drink sponsor of GRIDLIFE and the title partner of NOS Energy Track Battle Time Attack. And Greg, let's take a look at the 2.238-mile course here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. This track, funnily enough, is a similar length to every other track we've been to on the festival tour here in GRIDLIFE, except for Road America, of course. But 11 turns, 2.2 miles. Take me through it.
And some serious elevation. But let's talk about first the Andretti hairpin. That is a multi-line, multi-apex corner. You've got to get positioned well for turn 3 because that starts this run where you're building speed through turn 4. Then the most important turn really on the track is turn 5 because you start the absolute climb to the top. And turn 6, I call it the momentum killer. Look how angular it is. It's got a huge, big depression and thus compression right at the apex. You get it wrong, you're slow all the way up to a great overtaking area and into one of the most iconic corners in the world, the corkscrew.
59 feet of drop, 5.5 stories from there. It's 11 stories from the corkscrew to the bottom of Rainy Curve at turn 9. Turn 10, it's a flatter corner, but there's some camber drop there on the inside apex that you need to hit before you head to turn 11. A great overtaking opportunity for the Rush SR cars we're about to see. One of the slowest corners on the racetrack, and you've got to get a great exit because that front straightaway is pretty long, Greg. VMAX in a Rush SR car, we're going to see north of 125, 130 miles an hour in these lightweight sports racer machines, and they're about ready to take to the racetrack. It's a big grid here this weekend. Nearly 40 of these cars that all are effectively identical, Greg. They've got pneumatic shifting. They've got a GSX engine that makes about 145 horsepower. Doesn't sound like a lot, but boy, do they put that power down.
Well, they get the power down. They've got some nice aero, but they're so light. And so what happens is, the magic in racing is power to weight. That's what it's all about. And as a result, these things accelerate really well. You could brake super deep because they're light. They will roll speed through turns because of the downforce. It's a great package. And the amazing thing is the turnkey price for one of these is absurdly low. So if you're looking for a way to go racing, Rush SR, and they've aligned themselves with GRIDLIFE for their national tour. So it's a great way, to get a double bang for the buck. Get the exposure because GRIDLIFE on these festival tour events has this big stream, and Rush SR runs with a number of them, and great exposure, and rightfully so because these cars are really spectacular.
Yeah, have a look at all the people that have joined us here just on Friday. Tomorrow's the big day. That's when we've got music and everything. We'll have the car concourse down there in the lake bed. We're really excited to see that fill in all tomorrow afternoon and into tomorrow night. We've got San Holo here tomorrow as well, which is a big get as far as the DJ sets here on the stage, but really excited to be here. And this is got to be one of the most picturesque circuits in North America, just on top of the hills here, just a couple miles away from the Pacific Ocean, and it is beautiful. Got that morning marine layer of fog that we're a little worried about tomorrow, but it's been clear and sunny so far this weekend for us.
Yeah, and the weather is about perfect here. We're talking mid-60s right now, just gorgeous. And this sort of dry, sandy area that you're looking at down here, this is Laguna Seca itself, and Laguna Seca stands for dry lake. And in the old days, there was no turn 3 and 4 and 5. You just went from turn 2. You just kept carving right and literally with a cliff face essentially on your outside as you just rocketed around, and the track as a result was really short. And to be able to get the approval for FIA racing events, it had to be at least 2.2 miles in length. So they added this infield section, and it made it safer. I mean, that run up the hill if it went wrong. It was just spooky. And it's added a whole different element here, and it's still, though, carved into those hills. And that elevation change you were talking about, corkscrew down to the bottom of Rainey, it's a 10-story building drop, and that 5-story drop happens in about 500 feet of track right here. It is a roller coaster. It really is.
So just for reference, over the course of this 2.3-mile lap, you're about transitioning 180 feet from the lowest point to the highest point. 109, that's about 60% of that distance, is done in 2 corners. This corner and the following corner, Rainey curve, which is unbelievable. The rest of the track, you get down to turns 1, 2, and 3. That stuff is fairly flat down there. But you head up towards turn 6, you get that quick compression left, and then up to turn 7 and 8 at the corkscrew. What an unbelievable corner. I said this all the time. You name me 5 famous corners from around the world. If the corkscrew isn't in it, your list is wrong, because it's Eau Rouge, it's the Dipper, it's the Carousel, it's the corkscrew.
Yeah, it's so iconic. And the interesting thing is, it's a little bit technical, but it's not a super fast hang on for dear life corner. You got to get it right. And the thing is, it's easy to overshoot going in, and then you've got, you just run right off the outside. But the other part of it is, it's a great overtaking area, and sometimes, especially when you get creative, and you think about, to me, the 2 most memorable passes I've ever witnessed here was certainly Zanardi on Herta, the pass, and then what I call the Bass 2.0, when Renger van de Zande, coming up into the corkscrew, seemed to come from Salinas on the brakes and made a move down to the inside on the last lap for a win in a IMSA race. So it's great. And look at this look at the Andretti hairpin. So much runoff, so much room, so you can really get after it. But what you don't realize is when you come underneath that Mission Bridge there, it rises and falls. So as you make that little bend, which is essentially turn 1, it's completely blind. And if you're off position a little bit, you're probably going to be okay. But if you run wide and have to lift, you're going to be absolutely mauled as you get into turn 1 by people taking advantage of your mistake.
Rush SR Race 1 is about to kick off here. This race is about 12 to 15 minutes long. We've got a field of nearly 40 cars out here, and they'll do a couple of pace laps here behind our safety car before we turn them loose. And just as far as the starting lineup for this one, up in the front, it's the Rush Stig, and then Alex Chang is on the front row. And if you remember back to Road America, Greg, that one you were absent for, but I'm sure you saw the highlights.
Oh,
Alex
boy.
Chang was
I didn't
one
watch,
of those cars.
Not highlights. I watched every race. It was compelling as could be.
And Chang was one of those cars in that 3-wide finish where we had, I think it was 64 thousandths of a second was the margin. So he's up there. 3rd place in qualifying, Chris Forsberg, in only his 2nd event ever in Rush SR. He rolls off 3rd. Rob Radman, Greg, starts 4th place.
Yeah, what an effort by Chris. I mean, he is figuring this out. Starting 5th, another guy who's usually right up in the front, the 95 of Cole Gamma. 6th, the 87 of Sheldon Rosenbaum. 7th will be the number 2 of Michael Schneider. 8th, the number 25, Brian Tompkins. 9th, the 67 of Hassan Ahmed. And 10th, good friend of ours from GRIDLIFE and Track Battle in particular, Andy Vogel in the number 34.
He's our 2024 Street GT champion. Locked that up a couple of weeks ago, and he runs 10th here to start this race. Nate Hamilton, the famous drifter, is in his 3rd Rush SR event, rolls off 11th. Mitchell Cooper in 12th. Nick Billingsley and Ryan Kircher share that 7th row. Then David Madison and Kyle Melnick in 15th and 16th. Jacob Gailey and Brett DiGiacomo start 17th and 18th, with Larry Brady and John Parkinson rounding out your top 20.
Then in 21st, it's the 90 of Kaylee Countryman. 22nd, the 31 of TJ Hunt. 23rd will be the 13 of, it says Team JC Racing here. I have that as Lee Kellert. We'll see how that plays out. And then continuing on, starting 24th, the 58 of Bill Wright. 25th, the 75 of Brandon Showalter. 26th, the 45 of Sebastian Beaupre. Starting 27th, the 60 of John Robinson. 28th, the 57 of Glenn DeGenius. We're not going to make it, are we? 29th, the 78 of San Diego's own Ryan Wizzle. And then, of course, we've got the number 30, the 51 of Gage Hughes.
Well, it's time to go racing here. We couldn't even get through the grid. There's so many of them here. Rush SR, round 5 of 2024 in the National Championship. They're out ready to take the green flag here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. We got big names in this series. We'll talk more about it here later. Here we come to the start line. WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. GRIDLIFE Laguna, the first race of the weekend. And they did not get the green. This time, the pace car is going to catch back up. The starter did not like the ordering, and they will send the safety car right back out to pick the field up, so false alarm.
And that safety car clearly has some pace.
It sure does.
It did a nice job dropping the hammer and getting back in front there. And is this part of our the legendary GRIDLIFE revolving pace car program?
Well, no. The revolving pace car program is supposed to change the pace car out every race, not every lap. So it is the same pace car that we had a moment ago. But that was just a called-off start here. And again, there is a lot of new drivers in this field. And that's one of the great things about these cars, Greg, is that they're so beginner-friendly. You can hop right into these things, really get up to speed. And we'll talk more with this extra pace lap about some of the drivers that have joined us here for the first time. Two of them, you might be familiar with their YouTube channels, TJ Hunt and Grant Anderson, or Instagrant, as he's better known perhaps on the social media. But TJ and Grant are both running their first ever wheel-to-wheel races. They've never even so much driven a track day at speed, but they have spent a lot of time practicing in these cars, really learning against their teammates in the Team Rapscallion cars, Chris Forsberg and Nate Hamilton. So there's a lot for them to learn here. It's one thing to be on a track with 5 or 6 cars, Greg, a whole different thing with 40.
Yeah, when you are involved in traffic in a big pack, that is a massively straight vertical learning curve, and they're going to obviously be very mindful of that, I would think. And you know, one of the great things about these cars is they're small enough, and I mean they're high performance, but they're designed to be small enough that on a big karting track you can go out, get laps. And you know where I think, if I were thinking about maybe racing one of these at some point, I'd buy it and I'd do a year of autocrossing, doing solo competition, because these things would be an absolute rocket on a solo track, and talk about learning the physics of a race vehicle before you get on the track, so then you can focus on racecraft.
Yeah, somebody really smart that worked in the racing and motorsports world said something along the lines of simplify and add lightness. And this is about, I mean, these are chain-driven bike motors, effectively, 1,000 cc's. They've got a pneumatic paddle-shifted transmission. They've got a foot-operated clutch pedal, by the way, which is interesting. I didn't know that until a couple of months ago. But really lightweight cars that have so much performance potential. They are some of the fastest cars here this weekend, just straight up on pace, with only 145 horsepower. Yeah,
they just carry so much speed in the turns. And the last thing before we get a green this time, we hope, one of the brilliant parts of this, Kyle, is it's a modular design for all the body work. So if you ding something up, you just take that little part off, slap a new one on, and you're ready to go again. It's a brilliant idea from conception to execution.
Well, let's try this again. WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca and GRIDLIFE Laguna. Happy to have everyone joining us from here at the racetrack and around the world. GRIDLIFE Rush SR Race 1, Round 5. And there goes the green, and it's a big scramble in the back of the field. We're 3 wide at the start, under the gantry, down towards turn 1 of the Andretti hairpin. We're 4 abreast in the middle of the field down here, Greg. Look on the outside. I think that's Cole Gam of the 95 driving up the outside of Alex Chang in the 11.
Got an absolutely phenomenal start. They are side by side. You can do this through Andretti, but now Chang able to, with that inside line, put the power down just a little bit better here. But up front, the Stig is easing away up front, and it's great to have him here. He does a lot of the testing and development for these cars. It's a great reference point for all of these drivers to be able to look at it and go, well, he can do it. What's he doing? What can I learn here?
The stick is actually showing P13
oh, wow.
there. Exactly. That
back.
Chang
so that is
front.
Chang, yeah.
And then Forsberg is slid into second place there on the opening lap. Big dives mid-pack here into turn 5. It's a tricky corner to be offline. It's very lane sensitive down there. You have to get into the pocket there on the apex.
Man, couple of cars so close down in turn 5. And that's what happens in turn 6. And again, they've expanded the runoff just a little bit. And thank goodness I didn't catch the number, but that was a wild ride.
And kept the foot in it, got it out of the gravel, so we'll stay green for now. Down the corkscrew for the first time at speed in the Rush SR cars. And it's Chang, Forsberg, Gamma, and I think that's Radman behind. Schneider, actually, is that the 2? It is the 2 with Schneider. He's past Radman, who's in the blue, right behind.
Just listen to the sounds of these. It's just spectacular. This track is absolutely a legend in motorcycle racing, and with these 1-liter bike engines in the back, you almost have that feel. Oh, and that was that?
It's one of the Sunoco
Hamilton,
cars.
maybe.
It could be, because Forsberg's still second. So did Hamilton make a big mistake? Turn 11, what a tricky corner to get slowed down for here. And here comes Gamma up the inside. Big send here on Forsberg, but he's not close enough to get overlap there.
No, and Radman almost tried. Now he dives to the inside on the exit of turn 2. And now Gamma is going to get sort of forced wide. And a big move by Radman gets through on Gamma and almost took a look at Forsberg.
Yeah, big lunge there from the 2, the white car of Schneider. And into turn 4. Now look at the run that Gamma's got. He is on defense, drops the tire in the gravel. You see him slip slide, and here comes the 5 of Radman to the inside, and Sheldon Rosenbaum looking on from the back. He would like through as well.
Yeah, there are so many great graphics and wraps and liveries on these cars, but I think the number 5 of Radman with that chrome blue,
it's great.
Man, it is just phenomenal. Look at this shot. That is the beauty of this area. Up in the hills, and a big slide there by Schneider.
Yeah, he did a great job saving that, got it back pointed the right direction on the rumble strips, but he'll drop 3, maybe 4 spots.
The momentum killer.
It's such a fast corner. The commitment level is just unbelievable. The thing that every driver tells me once they drive this racetrack, Greg, is the corkscrew, after you do it once or twice, it's like, all right, cool. Yeah. It's turn 6 and Rainy Curve that are the ones that everyone says, man, I didn't expect those to be the corner I'd be talking about after driving Laguna Seca.
Absolutely. And, you know, even 11 here, yeah, it's a tight, you know, about 110-degree corner right here, but it's got a flow to it. Turn 6 is angular and bizarre. Forsberg, boy, he really, that car just laid down on him, didn't it?
Yeah, it looked like he's just slipped kind of mid-corner. When he got back to power, it wasn't going. And through comes Radman in the number 5. Gamma, Rosenbaum, who's in that green tinge Team Rapscallion car. Lockup. Gamma into turn 2.
Now, the question is, you know, he rolled some speed. Is he going to be able to keep that inside? He just might be able to do it, but now he has to give it up. But the other big question is, what do you do to that tire? That was a long lockup. Yeah, it was a long lockup. It didn't look like it was smoking super heavily, and these races are short, so you just have to drive through it. But every time he goes to hit the brakes on these cars, no ABS, by the way, it's going to keep finding that flat spot and boom, 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 every time you hit the brake pedal. 3 wide into 5. Let's try that. Why not? And these cars are narrow enough. They made it, but you can see you get trapped on the outside there. You just lose momentum. It's the long way around 5, and now you're going to be a sitting duck here. And I'll tell you what, the Stig is coming up. He's 5th right now. Yeah, charging forward. He's gone past Forsberg and now is working over Rosenbaum in the 87. There's 4 Team Rapscallion cars, and Rosenbaum is one of them, so he's got Forsberg, his teammate, right off the nose. They drop through the corkscrew once again. Tompkins, Cooper, Melnick now the rest of the top 10. And oftentimes, don't be surprised if with a lap or 2 to go, the Stig doesn't duck into the pits, because he doesn't want to take points away, especially as we get later into the championship season. But this is like a high-speed testing run, data acquisition, the whole program as they continue to develop it right now. And the question, you know, it's going to be interesting here is Forsberg's glued to him right now. I mean, not that Chris needs a whole lot of learning, but see what he can do here. Meanwhile, Gamma, as you can see, they're under attack a little bit. Yeah, Gamma's got the Rush Stig right behind him. There's that driver you were just talking about. You see the purple line there. That signifies that the Rush Stig just ran the best lap of the race, and he's going to take 3rd place away from Gamma here at 4, unless Gamma can deny it to him. And Schneider sizes both of them up towards turn 4. Ooh, I thought Schneider might try and dive down the inside and go with the Stig there. Look at Forsberg making a run. Here it comes again. Man, he's on it today. And he's found so much confidence at Lime Rock. And how about this confidence on the brakes into 5? Ooh. And he's through. Beautiful pass. And the question now is, does he have that momentum up the hill? And you can see Gamma coming right after him. I don't think Gamma's going to be close enough to really try anything in the 6. Oh, hanging out on the edge like your Tony Hawk. That was so cool. Right in the gravel trap there. Dropping a tire in the dirt, but he keeps the car straight. And now he's under fire, I think, from Rosenbaum. Slide. Rosenbaum's through. So is Tompkins in the 25. Yeah, that just really got Gamma way off of the rhythm. And that's what can happen here. It just happens that quickly. We have a full course caution. And the other thing is, up until this happened, Radman looked like he was closing a little bit on Chang. And now, of course, with a full course, the pace car will come out and the field will get totally bunched up. But wow, what a fascinating race early. And Gamma has to be mega frustrated. This was a revolving door in the top 5. We'll say that. Really the whole top 10 you see there now at the exit of the Andretti hairpin, right off straight. And you see the lines, the tire marks that just lead straight off into the gravel there. So he has found his way to the tire bundles, and that's why we're under full course yellow here now with just a few minutes remaining. We had that late start, so this race is going to be shortened a little. Remember, we can't delay
the races. We can't extend the races because of all the rest of the action we've got this afternoon, but the double yellows are waving with Alex Chang out front. Now, I'm sure he would like to win this race, even behind the safety car, because of how close he got back at Road America a couple months ago.
Yeah, and look at Radman on the lap when that caution came out. He actually took away fast lap, so he was definitely closing, showing some speed as we got into it here. And I didn't catch which car that was that went off, but you know, if you're a relatively new driver and you haven't done a lot of driving and just sort of understand the physics and dynamics a little bit, and you have an off like that and you're just barreling into a tight hairpin and you lock the brakes or whatever, if you're not experienced, oftentimes you just keep that brake pedal absolutely pounded, and that stops you from being able to steer at all when those tires lock up. And it's with some experience that you learn, come off that brake just a little bit and gently start to feed in a little bit of input into the steering wheel, and you might be able to arc through and not end up in the barrier or stuck in the gravel trap.
I think it's Nate Hamilton. Judging by the timing and scoring,
well,
he's down a couple of laps.
He certainly has some experience, so maybe it was something else in his case. Yeah. I don't think it would be.
Well, we saw that car on the initial start, or I guess the first lap through, had an issue in turn 11. So I wonder if there was something going on that then potentially got worse. But typically at Lime Rock, he was right up with Chris Forsberg. They were battling back and forth. I talked to him yesterday at registration about their battles they had at Lime Rock and how excited they were to race each other. And they both come from a drifting background, and they both wanted to take on this challenge of grip racing, racing wheel to wheel. Hamilton beat Forsberg to it by a couple of rounds, but I think were the lights off on that pace car? They sure did look like that.
And it looks like Rosenbaum is also driving one of the for the same team as Hamilton and Forsberg.
Yes, team captain there of Team Rapscallion.
Yep. And then Brian Tompkins in the 25 sits 7th. In the 8th, now the recovering Cole Gamma. In 9th is the number 39, and that is Mitchell Cooper. And then in the 10th spot is the number 53 of Kyle Melnick.
And TJ Hunt running 21st in his first ever wheel-to-wheel race. I will say that is very impressive, just because it takes a lot of learning to go quick here with a field as stout as this one. We will pass by the start gantry here. I didn't see a white flag displayed, so we'll stay under full course at least for one more lap. And the top 10 runners there on the left-hand side of the screen. We didn't document a whole lot of the challenges that were happening in the background there, but there were some drivers like Byerly that dropped down the order quite a ways. Line start here.
Yeah, and Vogel has put on a really nice race here. He's up 12 spots from where he started. Sits in 11th right now.
And Vogel was eyeballing this series for a long time, right? I think it was actually last year here. He asked me about, what can I learn about this Rush SR series? I've been doing this time attack thing for some time, but I kind of want to get into racing. I don't necessarily want to build my own car. I've already done the building the car thing for time attack. So this was a way for him to get into a race car without having to build something. They start around $40,000, by the way, which, full kit race car for $40,000 is a heck of a deal nowadays.
That's extraordinary. It
so
really is.
He wanted to give it a try, and I think he's got eyes set on potentially doing much more of it, potentially a full season worth next year.
Well, and that's the magic of these cars. You've seen now, folks, this is your first experience with them. These things fly. I mean, we're lapping around here, fast lap of 136.1. That's moving. And in a car, like you said, that's 40 grand. You crawl in and start it up and race it. It's that, that cool. And you get yourself aligned with a team that'll do the transport, or you can do it yourself if you want. But obviously, if you can get associated with the team, so you've got multiple data to be able to look at, you can get into this be doing some serious racing with an extremely minimal investment comparatively to most everything else.
You can fit about 4 of them in a standard garage too, so they're pretty efficient on site. Yeah, that's the other thing too, right?
That's the upside.
So there's lots of upsides. The consumables are way less because the car is lighter and smaller. So there's a lot going for it. And the competition is so fierce. This is the second time this season we've had a field nearing or above 40 cars. I mean, what an incredible debut first season for Rush SR in their national championship. The car's been around a couple of years, but it's the first full year of having them on board, and it has been a fan favorite.
It has been. And they're developing an upgrade car that when it comes out should be just as one of my favorite phrases is stupid fast.
Yeah, so that's the Rush SRX, which is the new car that's coming next season. Pace car's off. Let's get at least one more lap in. We'll see if we get a white and a green here. Coming to the start-finish line, Chang has the lead. Green flag, we're back underway. Looks like just a green to me, Greg. We might get 2 to go. 3 wide for second place. On the inside, it's the rush dig. Radman's in the center, and here comes Schneider to the outside of the 2-car.
Working that outside, and then watch Forsberg. He went down to the inside, and he may have just snuck through. See if he's going to be able to make that stick right now as they come out of 2, and they're still side by side.
What a great move there by Forsberg, but he stays P5 for now. Schneider was the big mover there on the restart. Chang washes out up onto the rumble strips. There goes Radman. He drops the tire in the dirt. Forsberg follows into 4.
Yeah, you're right. That was an amazing pass, and Schneider went from 4th to 2nd on that restart, and he's got some pace. Radman has slipped to 4th, but Radman was really, really quick. So we'll see how that plays out.
Tight quarters into 5 there. That's such a single file corner. You can't really get grip. You see cars washing out if they're not in the rubbered in line. And then into 6. This is the most lane sensitive corner in the country, I think. If you're offline, you will be in the gravel on corner exit.
Oh, and a big slide there by Forsberg.
The car stopped on the left there on the run up the hill, so no passing in this sector. And Chang's under fire into the corkscrew.
Yeah, big lunge there. And I think it all settled, but the other guy who has made a great fight back is Gamma. Right now, he is up into the 6th spot. You consider where he was when he had that problem. That yellow was huge opportunity for Gamma to be able to get back after it again.
Chang has to run here. I think the stick's pretty preoccupied. Big lunge from Forsberg on Radman. What a move down to the inside. And he's got him. Through to 4th place comes Chris Forsberg, and that bobbled the 5-car Radman, and Gamma's now got to run.
Yeah, Gamma, just beautiful opportunistic lunge there. Jumps on it now. Is Radman going to try and run the outside, or is he going to do the wide in and cut down underneath?
Oh, lock up. Trouble
Forsberg
for 3rd place.
Got into Schneider.
Oh, trouble again. And it's his teammate Rosenbaum that clobbers the 2-car at the Andretti hairpin.
And both of them could well be broken there. Oh, boy.
Yeah, I don't think those cars are going anywhere.
No.
There'll be a yellow flag down there, and Rosenbaum and Schneider are stuck at the Andretti hairpin, and it was Forsberg there that just got a little bit late on the brakes. He saw the tire locking up, tagged the 2. He almost had it saved.
Yeah.
But there was nowhere for Rosenbaum to go.
No, he was just unsighted and got in there. What a shame, because this was shaping up to be an absolute barn burner to the finish here.
Yeah, and so while those 2 are still stuck at the Andretti hairpin, we're still green everywhere else around the racetrack, and it is Alex Chang still leading over the rush stig, but it will grow a gap now from 2nd back to Forsberg in 3rd. They're going to pass that stalled car on the left, I assume one final time here, and head back towards the corkscrew.
I just saw the start stand, and they are waving the white,
so we will be coming back to the checkers this time by line astern here, boys and girls, the yellow flag sector. And coming back to the checkers, Alex Chang, and the defense he put on that restart was unbelievable. But can he hang on for a few more corners? The Stig, 0.8 of a second back, coming back up onto the front straightaway. Alex Chang was denied at Road America, not today at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. He will take it. Race 1, Rush SR to Alex Chang. The Rush Stig 2nd. Forsberg picks up a podium. Then Gamma, Radman, Tompkins, Cooper, Volkel in his first ever Rush SR race, Melnick and Countryman wrap up your top 10.
Wow, Gamma made a absolutely huge use of that full course caution and the restart, because I think he probably restarted back in 8th or 9th, and just that fast came right up knocking on the door of a podium. Great effort there. And, Forsberg, yeah, he got in just that little bit too hot, as you said. It was just a light tap, but it was enough to send Schneider sideways, and Forsberg continued. So Gamma might be on the podium once this is reviewed, actually.
Yeah, that was
unfortunate.
That was a heck of a race there for sure.
Yes, it was.
Let's have a look at the shots here of this battle up at the front. The start was so tight here. Look at them, 3 and 4 wide in the background. Big lunges into 5 on the opening few laps. Great mid-pack battles as well. A couple cars running wide on the start. Big lunge out into the gravel. Keep the foot in it and get out. That's all you can do in that sort of situation. Nate Hamilton issues early off at turn 11. He would go on to have a few more issues down at the exit of the Andretti hairpin, but Forsberg and Gamma, Greg, battling for 2nd place.
Oh, it was fierce, and then Schneider coming up and trying to take that spot away. then that big lurid moment there for Schneider as he lost a bit of momentum. Then Cole Gamma, big lockup here, the outside of the Andretti hairpin. Didn't hurt him here, but a little bit later he was going to have a moment and lose a lot of ground too.
Yeah, a big slide there coming down the corkscrew as well, kicking the rear tires out from underneath him, dropping those stories on the restart here. 3 wide for second place after we had, actually this was before Hamilton. Oh no, it is after Hamilton got off, but I just left a couple little lines in the kitty litter there.
There's
3 wide on the
tap.
restart, and
just
so tight there on that restart, Greg.
Really, really is. And, again, these cars, as we, talk about being narrow, you can fit 3, 4, 5 of them where you can't. There's that ultimate touch. And there was Rosenberg. It just had nowhere he could go. And that's what kind of put the brakes on here. And at the end, again, great run by Alex Chang. Just controlled it from the start.
Yeah, great work there for Alex. And again, he was denied so many times at Road America. He was not to be denied here today. We've also got another race coming up later today for the Rush SR Series. So Friday's got tons of action happening here. We've got a tight schedule with lots happening. So we're going to take a break for just a few minutes. And we'll be back with our first drift session of the weekend here from GridLife Laguna.
Hi, I'm Chris Forsberg, and I want to tell you about Valvoline's Flex-Fill Gear Oil, which is designed by car people for car people. It comes in a pouch, which is specifically made to work in tight spaces, and it saves me time versus the old pumping method, so I can focus on things like keeping my drivetrain running clean. Unlike the pump, the Flex-Fill pouch leaves no wasted oil and no wasted time. Plus, it keeps my garage nice and clean from any spills. All you gotta do is put the nozzle where you need some oil, give it a squeeze, and you're ready for the road. That's why I protect everything in my garage with Valvoline. Valvoline, trusted for over 150 years.
Welcome to our world. A world of dirt, drift, and dodging fate. A world where all of motorsport collides. A world of digging deep, of grit, glory, and bitter defeat. Inhabited by the strong, the fearless, the barely sane. Welcome to our world. Welcome to the world of NOS.
High performance, year-round traction, long tread life. It's one tire with multiple personalities. Introducing the Azenas FK460, Falcon's all-new ultra-high-performance all-season tire. With an advanced rubber compound that delivers confidence through every curve, in any condition, all year long, making the seemingly impossible possible. Learn more about the Azenas FK460 at falcontire.com.
All right, everybody, we are in the middle of drift here for GRIDLIFE. And of course, for GRIDLIFE, these are more exhibition runs. It's not necessarily an outright competition, but it is no less spectacular, as you can see right there. And one of the amazing things about this track, first of all, it's very rare to ever be allowed to drift at this facility, let alone do it full track. Look at that run up through turn 5. I'm waiting to see somebody do a serious drift through turn 6. I don't think you're going to see a lot of it because of the compression. You'd have to do a really wide run around there, and I think it's going to be a bit risky. But here is where it's fascinating, watching them set up and drift down the corkscrew. Look at that. Ooh, really wide, went behind the curbs. And again, that's part of that turn-in. When you get a little bit too much momentum going and you can't get it back across, and you end up just dropping down behind that yellow sausage curb. That's a pretty aggressive little piece of curb, and it's better to just sneak behind the whole thing, get the car straightened out and go. But it's just wonderful to see drift here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, because it's just something that doesn't happen very much, and GRIDLIFE is the spot that has been developing it and making it happen here. And the other aspect about drift here is kind of twofold. We get a lot of cars for drift here that we don't necessarily see in some of our other drift competitions, and it's great. You know, some of the West Coast drifters come out and put on a show, and some absolutely amazing equipment, that's for sure, and really adds a special element here to having drift. And look at that wagon coming up and through, dropping down through the corkscrew, carrying that beautiful drift. There's that pivot point. And ooh, really crossed up, hanging on to it, doing a little tandem there. And Kyle, how cool is it to be watching drift at Laguna Seca?
Oh man, I mean, this racetrack for so many reasons is spectacular to watch, and GRIDLIFE is all about the spectacle of motorsport, and there's no better thing to spectate at a track as historic as this than with a sport as progressive as drifting. And we don't do competition here, as you alluded to. This is really just for the fun and the style of drifting, but everybody has done this on Forza. Everyone's done this in a video game. They all wanted to do it in real life here. You know, last year when we came here for the first time, but then you fire things up, you head down the corkscrew for the first time in a wild slide with all the smoke and everything. It is just an unbelievable experience. We have some amazing drifters here with us this weekend. We've got the Zelinskis that are joining us from the Illinois area, but we've got so many of the pros that have shown up as well. Chris Forsberg, who we saw earlier in the Rush SR series. Nate Hamilton is here with his drift car. TJ Hunt, who just ran Rush SR, he's here with his Valvoline-sponsored 350Z. So it really is just an eclectic mix of cars. It's all about the style, not only on the racetrack, but off as well. And you see cars built, so many that are the same chassis, built in so many different ways.
Yeah, one of the amazing things here is you've talked about how it is rainy curve at turn 9 that can really surprise you here by how quick it is. It's got that banking to it. It falls away. And then to watch cars drifting through rainy, knowing how tricky a corner it is, it's just absurd.
And last year, we're getting a look at this drift down here into the Andretti hairpin. And last year, there was a viral moment that made it to ESPN from here with Matt Kaufman in his black 240. Went down into turn 1 before the first corner, basically under the gantry, began to initiate his drift. Went sliding down to the Andretti hairpin, completely linked turns 2, 3, and 4, all the way to 5. So basically, it was half a lap, fully in slide, and the amount of commitment, the entry speed that he had to have been about 130 miles an hour, and he slid sideways for, I think, about a quarter of a mile. It was unbelievable. TJ Hunt from the Hunt Company, of course, he's got a YouTube channel with millions of subscribers. I've been following it since I was in high school, and it's great to have him here on site. What's going on there? We got a roof coming off?
Almost looks like it, doesn't it?
I mean, talk about style. Here's Nate Hamilton. We were just talking about him and his experience in the Rush SR series. He's going to jump right back into the drift car. See the brake lights come on, just getting set up to initiate here. Little handbrake pull just to get the rear tire stopped. And the cool thing about this that you don't really think about is how much work is going on in the pedal box of these cars.
Oh, yeah.
When you go down into turn 2 like we saw Hamilton do, and you see the rear tires lock up, if you do that in a rear-wheel drive car, you stall the car because the wheels aren't moving. So as soon as you pull that handbrake, you have to immediately push the clutch in so that you don't stall the car. And then you can rev up and then drop the clutch to get those wheels spinning again to keep the grip reduced as you go off into the corner. It really is an art.
You thought footwork and handwork in a rally car is impressive. It's just really off the hook in a drift car here. And of course, absolutely spectacular car control. You watch them when they get it right. And this is really tricky when it falls away like that. You've got to get, that rotation and turn in absolutely spot on. Or we've already seen it. You can end up behind the curbs or just completely lose the drift. And when somebody really nails it, it is just a blast to watch.
And I think the other cool thing, you see cars of such a wide variety of backgrounds, cars from the 1990s, JDM cars, right-hand drive, Corvettes, right? The new chassis that's becoming more and more popular is the FRS BRZ 86 chassis. They're getting cheaper and cheaper, and the engine bays are big in those things. So you see LS swaps in those. On the grip racing side, you'll see K swaps and things of the sort. But, man, BMWs, Nissans, a little bit of everything. A little tandem going on. And I love this. You can see on the lead car there the GoPro on the stock.
Yeah.
And it gives you that chase person perspective as if you're playing a video game. It is neat.
That's really cool. Oh, absolutely beautiful run. Down through the corkscrew. I think is this TJ you were talking about?
Yeah, it is TJ.
Man, he just nailed that run through the corkscrew.
Yeah, one of the Valvoline drivers. There's a bumper laying out there, but those are optional parts on a drift car.
Oh, yeah.
No aero necessary, at least not in this sort of environment. Got Odie Bakchis with us here this weekend as well. It's a field suspension car. Colin Zielinski, I mentioned earlier, he's one of our buddies out from the Midwest. And the FCP Euro Audi has joined us as well. And is that Essa, who is, yes it is, Michael Essa, I believe, who's behind the wheel of that car. He joined us at Lime Rock Park as well. FCP Euro had all sorts of fun things. How about this? This car is fantastic.
I love this.
A little wagon action?
Yeah. Literally and figuratively.
Yeah. Down the hill here. 59 feet from the top to the bottom of that rise. And you talked about the blind entry to that, of course. There's, is that Forsberg in the Optima car this time? I think it might be. I did see his, he's got his NOS car here as well, so he might have a couple of cars to choose from. Matt Kaufman is here. Matt Field is here as well. Pete Collins from ASM, who we love having around. Zendara Kennedy is here, so it's just a great mix. Got about 30 of these cars. There's Pete Collins, by the way, the ASM driver. We actually ran into him on the 101 down from San Francisco. Not in this car. He was in his pickup, but always a blast. Going straight. Beautiful shot there of the smoke clearing. And at Lime Rock a couple of months ago, we filled that bowl with smoke. That little spot there. Here's Essa again.
Got to the point we had to just kind of let it breathe for a little bit.
Yeah. Got to get some airflow up in there.
Exactly. That's called the bowl for a reason or two. But here, no such problems. Generally, you've always got a nice breeze coming from the Pacific, wafting up and over the hills here. Oh,
hang it out.
Man.
Hang it out onto the curbing. Throttle back in. And, you know, the other challenging part, I mean, we do, at GRIDLIFE, do a lot of full course drift. So typically drift in a competition setting tends to be on a section of a road course or on a smaller oval track with, you know, zone setup. You got your clipping points or outer zones that you need to clip and hit to perform a successful run. But we run full course drift, meaning it's the same layout that the grip cars are running. And what that generally means is a lot higher cornering speeds than these cars would typically do, which makes power a lot more important. You can drift a stock Miata. I've seen it done. But at a track like this, when the corners are so long and so wide and the track is so grippy, you really need to be up in the 400, 500, 600 horsepower range just to keep the wheel speed necessary. And an often misconceived part of drifting is that you don't want grip. You want grip, just in very particular ways. You want the front to grip, and the rear you want to be able to step out.
On command.
On command.
That's the magic. Look at this.
What do we got here?
That is quite. I saw that car in the paddock, and I just looked, and I went, that's going to be fun to watch.
I mean, I said style, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, man, no one holds back. But I said earlier that there's so many drift cars you might see on the entry list, you know, 40 Nissan 240s or, you know, something, S13s, S14s, S15s, but they're all built differently and uniquely, and it's really a sign of a driver's personality and the way that they build their car. And I think that's so important in the motorsports world, Greg, this motorsports inclusion. That's why we do drift on these weekends. Not only is it a spectacle, but it also brings in people from a different side of motorsport that is not so traditional, you know, whoever crosses the line first wins, right? And it brings all these people that like cars together. And I think that's the most important thing that GRIDLIFE does on any given weekend is bring the community together through a variety of on-track action.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's so diverse. And then on these festival weekends, you bring in the music lovers. We've got a little practice run by the Thunderbirds maybe happening here.
Yeah, they've been floating around the past couple of days, haven't they? And we're getting a free air show here. Are they coming back our way, too?
Oh, let's hope.
I mean, I didn't pay for a flyover.
But this is good.
Man, what a show. And look at the blue tip mountains there in the background, with the cloud covered. It's just hazing them off in the distance there. And it is absolutely gorgeous here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. And
then 15 minutes away is 17-mile drive in the peninsula and everything.
Unbelievable.
This is pretty impressive country out here.
It really is. Well, here's what we got going on. We had a big track cleanup earlier. We had some other things in the background to deal with. Wouldn't you believe? So we've got, oh man, so much happens behind the scenes here. But down the course, there's some drifting still going on. But what we've got coming up next here on the schedule is GRIDLIFE Touring Cup Qualifying. This is going to be our second second on-track session for GRIDLIFE Touring Cup here this weekend. That will set the grid. I always say qualifying is the most important session of the weekend, and even for us, with so many new drivers and names and faces here this weekend, it's going to give us an idea of who's going to be at the pointy end of a nearly 40-car field.
Well, and that's what's so exciting about this weekend. As you said, it's a big field, but a large percentage of it are people that we're not really familiar with that have come out on a lot of different levels. I mean, we saw some drift cars that were coming through the paddock that were just and NOS Energy track battle cars that were coming through that were just extraordinary, brand new to us. Well, same with GRIDLIFE Touring Cup. And what I love about this is, we know who's strong from the series, right, that's been running it. But I love the notion of a local guy who shows up that nobody really is that familiar with, who just happens to be rocket quick and is just right up at the front going after it. Those are great stories.
Well, let's step away for a brief moment because we've got GRIDLIFE Touring Cup coming up here in just a moment's time. We'll be back right after this with GLTC Qualifying from Laguna Seca.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has won the Daytona 500. He spent thousands of hours on the road.
Can he do it again?
Feel hundreds of horses under the hood. But every race, lap, and victory you get starts at zero. New NOS, zero sugar. Zero sugar, 100% NOS, get after it.
Falcon Azenas RT660 is the enthusiast choice for ultra-high performance. Engineered for predictable handling and stability, the RT660 provides maximum traction both on and off the track. Your competitive edge has arrived with the Falcon Azenas RT660.
Sun, sand, and speed in Salinas. Welcome to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca and GRIDLIFE's final festival tour event for 2024. And it's qualifying time for GRIDLIFE Touring Cup. Nearly 40 entries make up this single-class sprint racing field. And because it's so far from home, there are so many new faces from new places doing battle in California. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to GRIDLIFE Live. Kyle Heyer, joined by Greg Kramer, as always, here. Greg, we're so excited to be back here. GRIDLIFE's second festival here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. 250 drivers and teams competing, nearly 40 of them in GLTC.
Yeah, it is a remarkable series, and like Drift and like Track Battle, one of the things that makes it special is it is a place for the backyard engineers, if you will, the do-it-yourself. And you could build everything from a Honda Civic to a thundering Corvette. They all race in the same class by a power-to-weight ratio with some other little modifiers that is simplicity in effectiveness, right? And Adam Jabay and his team have done an incredible job. And these races are often some of the most exciting you will see in a season of pro racing at the highest level, just because of the way that it's designed. I'm just pumped. And this track always promotes phenomenal racing.
GridLife Live is brought to you by Falcon, the official tire of GridLife Track Battle, and NOS Energy, the official energy drink sponsor of GridLife and the title partner of the NOS Energy Track Battle Time Attack. We talked about WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca and why it's such a big deal. 1957, the whole 50s era was such an important time for American motorsport. Greg, take me through a lap of WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. It is fast and furious here at 2.3 miles long.
Yeah, it really is. And it's the front straight. You come up over it rises and then falls into turn one, and it's a blind approach. You've got to get your line right there. Then into the double apex Andretti hairpin, and you could drive that a lot of different ways, but you've got to get it exited right because you got to set up for 3, which leads you into a very fast-flowing turn 4. And then into what is probably the most important turn on the track, turn 5, because that starts this massive elevation climb of some 180 feet. And you go up to this turn that I call the momentum kill, and that's turn 6. It is so angular compared to everything else, just completely out of rhythm here. It makes it a really awesome challenge. You've got to get through it fast because, Kyle, not only are you heading into the iconic corkscrew, it's a great overtaking area.
It is, and it's a 10-story drop from turn 8 to 9 through Rainy Curve, and then down through turn 10. That's a fast corner as well. Sets you up for another great passing opportunity into turn 11. That will be the last corner to make an effort to win this race come the end of today when we do the first of 4 races here this weekend. And GLTC, we celebrate not only a season champion, but a weekend champion as well. Whoever finishes the best over the top 4 races of the weekend, they will go home with a trophy and some hardware here this weekend. There is also championship implications here this weekend, Greg. We're a long way from home, but there are some drivers that have joined us from the Midwest. Notably, the car leading this field right now, the yellow number 484, Matan Rosenberg. He is second in the championship standings. If he wins 3 races this weekend, totally possible, he would be leading the championship going into the last round that we'd expect most of our drivers to run at pit race next month.
Yeah, I mean, he's got opportunity here. That is really the reason he made this trip, obviously. But the other point is, you look at what he did here last year. He was fast here last year. He has every opportunity to do exactly what you're talking about. Another guy who's fairly well placed in the season points, Tony Marchev, has had success here as well. He's here. So this is going to be fascinating to watch how this all unfolds here. I can't wait.
Very excited to get things underway here. And qualifying, we've got, well, probably it'll be a little shorter because of the delay, but roughly 20 to 30 minutes here for drivers to lay down the best time that they can and set the grid for race 1 later today. Now, race 2 is the interesting one because we set that by lap time from today's race. That'll be tomorrow morning. Race 3 we set from the finishing order of race 2, and then race 4, finishing order of race 3 with that random invert, which will make things really exciting come tomorrow afternoon. Cars on track now. Qualifying is underway, and we'll bring that to you here in just a moment's time when lap times start going down on the board.
Yeah, Tony Marchev had a really good qualifying run here last year, so you look for him. Certainly Matan, we know that in terms of the full season series, they are 2 of the guys that are right at the sharp end of things. Matan, what a story he is. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, and I mean just a couple of years it seems, he was that young, super young kid in that little MX-5, doing it all by himself and everything. And every once in a while he'd nick a top 10, and but then it's like the switch flipped, you know what I mean? And he built this Corvette, has it done up in a very famous livery in a factory Corvette that has raced here in the past, which makes a little tie to it as well. And he has become an outright front-runner in this championship.
Just 19 years old out of Ohio. And, you know, this car isn't even really the same car as last year. Yeah, the chassis is the same, but he completely pulled the car apart in the offseason, put in a brand new roll cage that fit him better. And since Road America, this car has also had a new engine put in it after he had an engine failure back in practice in August. So, or that was back in July, rather. So Rosenberg has got, some fresh motor under the hood, and he's got a fresh face behind the wheel, and he's brought something I think really needed to GLTC. He's got the youth that represents the series. He's got the skill and talent that represent the series, and with that livery, the style that represents the series. And he will be the one to beat this weekend, make no mistake.
Yeah, and I mean, he actually even came in the booth with you when I couldn't get to Road America and did a nice job there. So he's one of those annoyingly talented people across the board, and very, very quick to be sure here. Good look here, the number 47, as that's Justin Ross, who's one of the local drivers, and can't wait to see. I mean, currently fastest time of anybody here in that BMW, and we were watching him a little bit earlier in practice, and he was, we could see him from the exit of Andretti all the way up to the turn into 4, and he was flying.
Yeah, he's going to be really quick this weekend. I think Justin Ross in that BMW is going to be stout. How do I know that? Well, I know we're going to drop these lap times a few seconds from now until the end of the session, but to beat Matan Rosenberg on the opening lap is impressive. You're going to have a lot of time on the racetrack. You're going to have enough racetrack to get a clean lap, but if you're already battling toe-to-toe on lap 1 with the driver that's second in the championship standings, you're going to be good. Alex Audi was here last year. Adam Wood, also in a Subaru P6 right now. He's joined us across the country. He's out of New Mexico. Usually his toes are days long. This one wasn't so bad.
Not so bad for him. And the guy who sits third right now, the 272 of Larry Moore, he won the 4th race here last year. So he's got some serious speed to contend with here too. So they're really starting to come alive, and it's impressive here. And up into 4th, the number 132, San Diego's Jack Wishmeyer. So great to see him out here. We talked to him last night. Great character, clearly passionate about it, but just funny, and gets that car moving really smartly. Here, I'm impressed.
Yeah, up onto the front straightaway now, in tow. And now we're all learning new liveries, new faces, new names.
Exactly.
I got to wait for the door cards. I don't usually have to do that in GLTC, but across the stripe here, that is the number 272, and this is a familiar name, just not a familiar livery. Larry Moore.
Yeah. Last
year, race 4. Who won the race, Greg?
Yeah, Larry did.
Larry Moore.
So he's definitely going to be one of the keys to be watching here. And Marchev sits in the 8th spot, is number 17. Zhang, who's had a lot of runs here, and George Kustambalis is running, or Kambardis is sitting in that 10th spot right now. So people that we're at least familiar with are showing pretty well too.
Yeah, there's 2 cars on track that I'm hoping to see at some point, and they are a Lotus Elise and a Lotus Exige, and those 2 cars are really interesting to me because we've never seen one in GLTC. They have a flat floor and a diffuser that's kind of baked into the chassis from factory. Those modifications are not typically allowed in GLTC, so they carry an extra percentage weight modifier. I am really curious to see how they do this weekend because I learned that the modifier is only 2%. That's not that bad. So with the flat floor diffuser and the clamshell bodywork of a Lotus, I am curious to see how well they'll do and if maybe that's the ticket to finding some speed here.
Well, I'll tell you what, they're mid-engine cars. That means generally their balance is extraordinary, which means they can carry a lot of speed. Sounds like they're going to have some fairly effective aero on them as well, and it'll really all comes down to a lot of these cars that, and even the Corvettes here, and we should clarify this, they sound like they're cranking out 600-700 horsepower.
No.
Everybody's throttled back, so you're in that same power to weight ratio, and so you get that Lotus with some clear track. I think it can be quick.
Yeah, so you mentioned that the Corvettes are detuned a little. We're again power to weight series, 12.5 pounds per horsepower. The more complication you add, the more weight you have to add. All right, you can have a sequential transmission. You're going to take 4% extra weight for that. Yeah, you can have a rear wing. You're going to take some extra percentages for that as well. So you can go really simple, or you can go really complicated, and those things should balance out as Tony Marchev toes in line. I think that's the number 525 car, or maybe 925 car. John Borcheldt? Not quite. That is, maybe it is Borcheldt in the 925 down there at turn 2, but 17 moving up in the world there, P5.
Yeah, he got a solid run there, and you can see his line was kind of interesting into the Andretti hairpin. He didn't diamond the corner too much, meaning that you turn in a little early, float out, and then back to the apex again. He just went in wide and drove it as one really long apex with a late apex on it. And you can see how much he scooted away, obviously, as he came out of turn number 2. Problem is, that's great in qualifying. When you're racing, you leave that kind of gap, 3-4 guys are going to try and fill that.
Yeah, that's a tricky corner because of the compromise you have to make. P6, how about Daniel Giraldo?
Wow, what a run.
Here's a car that you've never seen in GLTC, at least not on a broadcast yet, a 2010 Lexus IS.
Yeah, I absolutely have not. And again, I love to see what the West Coast brings.
Something unique every time, and
Absolutely.
that's what makes this and the NOS Energy Track Battle Championship so fun. There's Kustambartis in that silver MX-5 dropping down the hill. I believe that's Michael Hilo in tow, the 224. He's one of the drivers that is leading the FCP Euro Pacific Championship, the 4-round battle that encompasses Circuit of the Americas, Willow Springs, Laguna Seca, and Thunder Hill. And he's also celebrating a new partnership with Eibach here this weekend. So
congratulations.
Got some new springs and suspension on that sucker.
Well, I'll tell you what, last year he ran here, and 3 of the 4 races he finished in 4th. I mean, he's top 5 and seriously competitive here. Knows this track well for sure.
By the way, one of those Lotuses, it's Vo in the 75, 22nd place as he just gets bumped down the order. So about mid-pack right now. Adam Wood jumps up to 8th.
How about Wishme jumping up into the 3rd spot right now for Jack Wishmeyer, doing a really, really nice job. He just turned, it was a 140.3. That's a heck of a lap.
That is a great lap there.
Zhang making a big move too on that lap.
Yeah, he's up the inside of there with that MX-5. That's Kevin Bandy, who has joined us, another long tow driver. He's come from the other side of the country. His first race with us was back at, I believe it was Carolina Motorsports Park. He might have made Circuit of the Americas as well. There he is in that number 5. He told me he was going to put, the Hess gas station?
Yeah.
He wanted to do a Hess livery on that thing. I said, absolutely do that. He's just got to put aside some funding to get the vinyl put on it, but I am all for that.
Look incredibly cool.
There is a rule in GLTC that says that if your car is prettier, it will get a little more attention, and we do that on purpose. Oh, man.
Well, you know what? Certainly the raw performance and all that's part of the game. Driver talent's part of the game. But presentation and aesthetics.
Oh, Kevin Bandy. What a
part of it, too. Wow.
That was cool.
That's how you run turn 6.
Yeah, you just drive off in there, you get the compression. And his whole thing, we still have a YouTube series that continues to be produced right now called GRIDLIFE.
Yeah.
And he was the subject of the first episode of that back at Carolina Motorsports Park. And he was working up to staying flat in the kink there, continuing to stay, more full throttle, work up to speed. All the commitment, all the confidence that he's built this year, he just showed me that he is not afraid of this race car anymore.
Not at all. And to do what he did in turn 6 takes huge bravado.
Oops, spin, turn 11. That looks like it's Vitas Aronauskis. And he's going to just back out of the way there. Yellow flags waving. There's Giraldo in that Lexus IS, bottom of the screen there in the white and black. Peter Zhang, the LS Swap FRS. And hello, Lotus. There's the number 97. And that is our Lotus Elise. The 75 is the Exige.
Yeah, Adam Bao.
Yeah, he's got all sorts of wacky plans, including, he said something about a Honda Beat.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, and he was not kidding. There's that 75. That's the Exige. It's a 2008 Lotus Exige S. And these two cars, these two models, have never run a GLTC race before.
It's John Vo in that number 75. And it's so cool. I mean, come on. It's a Lotus. And just look how pretty they are. I mean, it is gorgeous, and they really do perform.
Yeah, I think they're a great track day car in general, but I don't know that there's a lot of places.
Look at the speed he can roll.
So, I mean, and again, that flat floor, that diffuser, you're going to have to take the penalty for it. You might as well utilize it. So you're going to set your suspension up in such a way that you're not stalling out that aero. You want to utilize all the factory area you can in a car like this.
You have to. And like you said, because of the weight penalty, you're going to pay for that level of development. And one of the nice things is this track, it's got a lot of elevation change, and except for the compression right here in 6, it is pool billiard table smooth. So you can screw the car right down to the deck and really make use of that aero.
Yeah, that red Civic just ahead, I think I thought it was the 809 car, but I don't see it on my list now. But it was previously, it still is Adam Bao's car. There it is. That's the car I was looking for, 808. But that was previously Adam Bao's car, or 806. I was right the first time, I thought. But he ran this car here last year, tried the Lotus experiment, wants to do the Honda Beat experiment. Why not?
Why not? I love the
When you can build any car, why build one?
Exactly. Exactly. You've got that talent. Marchev now has come back up into the top 4. And, again, this is qualifying, and we have a big field. And when the higher up you can start the race due to a good qualifying session, the less you have to take out of the car to get to and stay at the front, right? And we've seen it in so many different styles of racing. If you've qualified outside of the top 10, the odds of you getting caught in a first lap incident of some sort might just be a little nick that just dings it down a dive plane or something, but it can mess things up for you. So get after it, put everything you can into qualifying, and then enjoy racing up front.
I guess the one car I'm wondering the whereabouts of is we've seen Michael Hilo on the racetrack, but I don't know where he is on the scoring, and he's a driver that I had circled as one I would expect to be front-running competitive, but I don't have him on the scoring. Do you, Greg?
No. Looking through here, and I do not have him as having turned a lap. We should give, while I'm looking through here, though, a really nice big shout-out to Fiona Liu. Who's a regular competitor in GRIDLIFE for many years. Moved out here to the West Coast, and we haven't seen much of her, but she's here and running.
Alex Audi's in this 162. That's that blue car, bottom of the screen there, working its way through turn 2 at the Andretti hairpin. A little bit of damage on the right front. The headlights kind of cockeyed there in the insert. I wonder if that is a recent development. Woo! Drift session was 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, but I believe you call that giving it some welly.
I would say so, yeah.
Another guy that I'm saddened to see is not turning a lap, because I think he's going to be somebody that would be fun to watch. Oscar Jackson in the 469 has not turned a lap yet.
Yeah, we haven't seen that car on track. It's an FRS that's supercharged.
Hey, look at Tony Marchev. He
P2.
just jumped to second with a fabulous lap. Look at the margin, how close this is, folks, from first to second right now.
Oh, man, Audi is taking it to the limit there through turn 6. Yeah, Marchev is looking really great and right up on top of Rosenberg. Back at Autobahn Country Club a couple of weeks ago, Marchev was in the mix with Rosenberg and Catil and all the drivers that you'd expect to see. Andy Smedegaard kind of came out. I don't want to call it a retirement. He just shows up when he wants to show up, and he put on a show with Matan. And I think we had the closest finish in GLTC history. It was 19 thousandths of a second or something of the sort. It was awful close.
Super close. Look at this right now. Second, third, and fourth are literally covered by 10th.
Well, you come out to California, and you get a kind of a different group of drivers than you normally expect. That's the idea of having races all over the country, right? Yep. Is you don't necessarily want to drag everyone around all over with you. You want to bring in some new blood, and this is the new blood, but how competitive have they shown up against two of the drivers that are top 5 in points?
Absolutely. It's really impressive here. And Justin Ross, that 139.2 that he just recently put up, expanding his lead. In this category, as we've seen, rare to see a car separated, two cars separated by a couple of tenths. And here, he's got a second on the field right now. So Justin Ross, certainly some, I'm sure, serious local track knowledge, but man, is he absolutely throwing down right now.
Well, I just got a message from Austin Hurdle, because we were talking about Michael Hilo earlier, wondering why he wasn't there. And it sounds like he actually had an engine issue in practice, and it sounds like the engine had seized on that car. There's a very similar Z out on track from Jason Lapid in the 2003 Nissan. It's the same generation of 350, but he's also got a red 350 in the number 400. So that is the car we actually saw. And currently, where is he scored? 424. P24. Jason Lapid. Yep. So checkered flag here on qualifying, though, Greg. So if you're on a fast lap, you can finish it out. But it looks like Ross is going to take provisional pole for now. Marchev, Rosenberg, Wischmeyer, Zhang, then Geraldo, Morvo, Audi, and Rishmano, the rest of your top 10. So lots of new names, but some familiar ones there, too, to kind of anchor the field on this green flag.
And I think what we're seeing here, and I feel for Matan a little bit, and he had a great event here last year, but a lot of these corners are long duration corners, and you have to carry a lot of speed to them, and that Corvette's heavy. And so, by the time you get to the end, and these qualifying sessions are a bit longer, not by a ton, but a little longer than the races even. So by the end of this, he just might not not have much tire left to really be able to attack at this stage. And, take the third. Hopefully you get a really good start, out-torque everybody down into turn 2, and then see what you can do.
I don't want to brag, but last year I got to ride with Rosenberg on Sunday here in his car, and he usually leaves a passenger seat in there for some fun. And he ran a 1:42 with me in the car. So the Kyle ballast was only worth 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So, that would be, we'd not be in the top 10. We wouldn't be far off.
Yeah.
So I'd like a ride someday again in a race, but the insurance tells me can't do that.
No.
So
no, unfortunately, that's frowned upon rather strongly right now. But again, how about one, Marchev?
Yes.
And he's just been mega impressive here, doing an absolutely incredible job. And then Jack Wishmeyer, he just has lit it up outside row 2. If everything hangs, Peter Zhang, Daniel Giraldo, and Larry Moore, race winner here last year, slipped back. There's John Vogt. Look at him.
Yeah.
That Lotus coming up through the field.
Up into the top 10 there. Looking down the order, George Kustenbardis, we documented, P13. John Borchelt in that number 925 BMW. Kevin Bandy, 19th place. Adam Bow, the other Lotus, both of them in the top 20 in this about 36-car field here. Looking down to the next page, 21st on down, Vitas Aronowskis. We saw him go for a spin. Andy Sundin comes all the way from Kansas to race here in 22nd is where he'll take the green for race 1. Oscar Jackson, I don't think we ever saw him get a lap in, so I think 29 cars is all we got on the board as far as lap times. But Jonathan Lugan as well in the number 94 machine. He is in, I believe, a Del Sol, so he will join us P31 for the grid later today. I know we've got more cars than that. Not all of them got out there for qualifying, but race 1 up later today. And right after this, the first of the qualifying sessions for the NOS Energy Track Battle Championship. We'll be right back right after this.
Hi, I'm Chris Forsberg, and when it comes to classics and high-performance cars, I only trust America's #1 racing oil, Valvoline VR1. It's built on Valvoline's long legacy in racing, so I can continue to build my own. With 2 times more zinc than the industry standard, VR1's high-performance formula is tested on the track and trusted on the road to ensure your engine is protected from metal-to-metal contact. And I use it so much, I haven't got my car on the bottle. That's why whether I'm racing or cruising, I protect everything I drive with Valvoline. Valvoline, trusted for over 150 years.
How'd I do?
Great if you're not looking at the clock.
Sure you got that? I had to be faster than that, right? 100% NOS, 0 sugar coating.
No.
New NOS, 0 sugar. Get after it.
For those who demand winning performance on the track, off-road, and everywhere in between, Falken has you covered. Falken Tires, delivering exceptional performance to exceptional drivers since 1983.
If you've ever wondered what an online Forza lobby looks like in real life, you'll see it at GRIDLIFE Laguna in the NOS Energy Track Battle Championship. Drivers here bring an eclectic mix of cars ranging from the Toyota Yaris all the way to factory race cars. They'll battle this weekend on historic WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca across 7 unique categories, working their way towards the podium sprint session tomorrow afternoon. This place is a bucket list track for so many here, but they have so little time to take in the scenery while trying to break those track records. Have a look. Second festival here at Laguna Seca for GRIDLIFE and round 2 of the FCP Euro Pacific Championship. Expected attendance north of 10,000 people here on the weekend, Greg. Today is a lighter day. Tomorrow we're expecting everyone out in full force. We're just ramping up to the action. That will conclude with time attack tomorrow with the podium sprint for the NOS Energy Track Battle Championship. That's where we take our top 35 cars here. Of the 75 we've got, that's the top 5 from each class, and we run them, give them 2 laps each to show what they've got to win the competition here this weekend.
Literally, GRIDLIFE, brought that new format in, and I think it is revolutionized the time attack format, turning it into very much of not just going after records, but a competition. And it makes it really fun to watch, to call, and the competitors say they like it too. They love having that pressure to get after it. And we were talking about just the diversity of cars in general in GRIDLIFE. How about the diversity of cars just in the NOS Energy Track Battle Championship? We have everything from basically B-spec cars all the way up to unlimited fire-breathing monsters here, and oftentimes it's these Sunday Cup machines on these Falcon tires that come out and really have a lot of fun.
We'll explain the classes to you here in a little while, but Falcon is the official tire of the GRIDLIFE NOS Energy Track Battle Championship, and NOS Energy is the official energy drink sponsor of GRIDLIFE and the title partner of this series, the NOS Energy Track Battle Time Attack. Cars on track, and we do this qualifying with 2 classes at a time. We've got our Falcon Sunday Cup cars on track and our Falcon Club TR class. Now, the thing that these classes share, about the only thing they share, is a spec RT660 Falcon tire. The categories are quite different. Club TR is effectively 2.5 liters and under as far as displacement is concerned, or 1.8 liter turbo and under, and you've got that spec tire, and you got a little bit of aero to play with as well. Sunday Cup, 25-to-1 power to weight ratio, so 25 pounds per horsepower or under, and you cannot have a locking differential. It's open diff only. You get a lot of cars like the Honda Fit, the Toyota Yaris, the Mazda 2, and that is the easiest way to get into road racing competition is time attack in Sunday Cup. Buy a car for $4,000, put some coilovers and some sticky tires on it, come battle here. And the way that this competition works, Greg, we've got 3 qualifying sessions and then our podium sprint tomorrow. The goal that you're doing for the first all these qualifying sessions is just get up into the top 5 in your category. Right. Once you're there, you're in the seeding for the podium sprint tomorrow, which you run reverse order, fit the first in each of your classes, and the fastest car of those 5 takes home the trophy. So if you're not in the top 5, you don't even get a chance to go for one tomorrow afternoon. You got to get there, and it all starts now.
Yeah, and obviously the highest level of points too that are going to be paid out for the season championship. And absolutely right. And what makes it really fascinating here is you're going to see the graphics come up, especially when we get into the later qualifying runs. You're going to see a graphic that will say advancing and chasing. And the advancing, those are the ones that are currently their times in from whatever of the qualifying groups have them in the top 5 overall, which would be advancing into podium sprint. Everybody outside of that top 5 will be listed as chasing and coming after that. So we'll be seeing that unfolding here. You really need to get the first qualifying session in as well before we start to see that happen. But that's how it works. So it doesn't matter when you set that fast time in a qualifying session. It could be now, it could be tomorrow morning, tomorrow midday, or whatever. If you set one of the top 5 fastest times in your class, you get to go play in podium sprint.
Yeah, so I guess the idea there is that it gives you a couple opportunities. As you said, anytime. You can run right now and not run for the rest of the weekend except for the podium sprint, provided you qualify. How about the commitment from these Sunday Cup cars, though, and the drivers? That Yaris that's making its way through Turn 6 right now, that's Lucas Schar. He drove all the way across the country in that car to be here. He rolled in here on Wednesday after driving for over 3 days. He drove that car here with a license plate on it. He's going to race it here this weekend and drive it all the way home.
Yeah, that is somebody who wants to be here, folks. That is the true level of commitment. And we hear that fairly frequently in Sunday Cup, that the people who are, a number of the people, this is one of their road cars. They just drive it out here, throw their race tires and a couple of tools in the back. And that's one of the great things about it. You talked about it. This is by far and away the best bang for the buck class for getting in to some serious competition in the time attack track battle format. And just getting laps, and that's where it starts.
So you'll see here, you were talking about the advancing and chasing, and we broke this down as simple as we can for you. If you're in the advancing section, you move on to the podium sprint tomorrow after the conclusion of all 3 qualifying sessions. That'll be later tomorrow afternoon. If you're below that line, then you are not advancing, and your weekend will end with effectively qualifying 3 tomorrow. So Sunday Cup, we just filled it up with 5, but the Club TR standings are already filled up with 13 drivers. That is our field size. And how about this? Look at the cut line right now. 143.563 for Fuentes and a 143.586 for Reyes. That is, what, 0.02 of a second?
That's remarkably close. And the thing is, we see that all the time, don't we? I mean, it's just extraordinarily close. And that's when, folks, when you watch it and you go, okay, how tough is it to find 0.02 of a second?
Very.
And they'll go 3-4 laps and they can't get it done. That's because when you start to get to the limit, finding that extra little bit is incredibly challenging. And because you can overstep that limit so easily, and so you've just got to figure out some way. You just change your pattern or your line through the corner a little bit, whatever you can do to try and see what works here. And nice lap, a 140.8. That's a pretty big margin right now, some 4/10 by Hackman in that 396 at this stage. It's Nate Hackman over the number 435 of Nick Allen.
Yeah,
that's
so
an S2000 versus a Toyota GR86.
And there's a lot of those GR86s, FRS, BRZs, whatever you want to call them. They were the twins. I guess now they're the what do you call four?
Quadtuplets.
Quadtuplets.
Yeah.
No, that's five.
That's five.
Quadtuplets? I've never even heard that term before. But there's the GR86, the Toyota 86, the Scion FRS, and the Subaru BRZ. There's a GR86 slamming the curbing and dragging a tire in the gravel there at the exit of 6. And right behind him, that white and blue car, that's Peter Granberg, second in the championship right now for Falcon Club TR, chasing Evan McLaren. Evan McLaren has almost maxed out the amount of points that you can earn in a season. He's earned 102. Max is 104. So theoretically, I think Peter Granberg could win the championship if he wins this event with a track record and he wins that pit race and a track record.
And that's very, very difficult to do. I just saw a car really crawling coming down through the corkscrew, went behind the curb, and looked like it may be suffering some malady. We'll have to see if he was able to get going again. Maybe just had a little moment and got out of the way just in case somebody was coming.
Yes, there's that 435. Allen heading down into turn 1, continuing his efforts there. Certainly didn't seem like he wanted to back off at all after that intense run through turn 6.
And Hackman has improved by about a 10th, down now into the 140.7 range.
That's a really solid time for Hackman.
And again, look at this. The 812 Liu fifth right now at a 142.48. Fuentes, the 172, is just outside of that top 5 at a 142.57.
And then, there's the 343 car. That is Matthew Reinhardt in the 2015 Honda Fit. Looks like he's just pulled off there. I don't think he's bounced off the wall, but maybe slid to a stop there as the checkered is out on this session, which seems early, but I know we're in a little bit of a time crunch. So there's your Falcon Club TR. We'll look at this in more detail later, but Sunday Cup we've filled in a little bit more. 0.3 of a difference between Esting and Ward. A 206.6 and a 206.9.
Yeah,
and look at Lucas Shaw to the top. 155.310. He did not drive across the country to go down without a fight.
Absolutely, what a lap! And that as the session is ending, so man, did he time that to perfect. And look at that chunk. That's 0.5. That's half a second.
That's a big chunk of time. And Taylor Wargo in the 135, we know he's capable of winning in the West Coast here with the Falcon Sunday Cup car. There's Lucas Shar, and I don't know that he'll know that he's leading right now, but when he rolls in and pulls up the scoring results, he is going to be stoked about that.
You know that.
Because I know it was kind of a short session here, just a few minutes in, but you're typically not going to, if you run first in qualifying 1, you're not going to end up 12th in qualifying 2, right?
You would think. And Interaldi sits in the 3rd spot, the 188, the 969, and Coughlin probably, in the 4th spot. And then here, taking a look at the
this is Club TR.
Club TR category.
And currently advancing. They haven't advanced yet, but those are the drivers that are in the spots right now. Peter Granberg didn't get a very good lap there. I think he might have won this event last year, been awful close to winning. So he will be just outside the cut line for now. That's your Club TR running order. Here is your Falcon Sunday Cup order in your fits and bits, I guess, with the it's actually Yaris out front with Lucas Shar behind the wheel, but that is a really strong effort there. And that cut line is really tight, so we'll see if Manfred Osting can pull away from Courtney Ward and try to keep that gap a little larger than it is.
3/100ths of a second. It's one of the things you got to love about the Sunday Cup category. They just, by the way that the cars are designed, they are so close, so equal. So that really makes that lap of Char really stand out.
Yeah, so there's a great look at the paddock here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. It's going to fill in even more tomorrow. There is plenty of things going on. You have to check out GridLifeLaguna.com to get the full lineup and details, and tickets are still available if you're in the area. Come on down, check it out. I promise you will not regret checking out GridLife Laguna Festival here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca.
And let's not forget the music tomorrow night.
Yeah, exactly. DJ sets, San Holo, which was a big get for us. We're really excited about that one, and yeah, should be really fun. We had T-Pain here last year, which was a lot of fun. And it's been beautiful weather here so far. I don't want to jinx us because I know how the commentator curse thing can go sometimes, but it has just been so nice, so breezy, kind of warm during the day, cool at night. And tomorrow morning, when we get into Q2 with these cars, which we will be broadcasting about 9:15 a.m. local time tomorrow, the track temperatures come way down, and that means the speeds go way up. So if we're going to see records this weekend, tomorrow morning, I think, is when we're going to see those go.
I think so. That makes total sense. And you know, and what happens is in the morning, one, it's just cooler generally, which is always going to make for better power. But also the sun is at a much more oblique angle, low on the horizon, so it's not beating down on the track. And this track is really sensitive to sun heat because it absorbs the heat. Even with the recent repave, it still does that. And so when you get that sun at a low angle in the sky and it's not directly overhead, the temperature in the track stays lower, which means you can push the tires just a little bit harder. You don't want it cold because you still need some heat in those tires to get the air pressures right. But if it's a little cooler, and the other part of it is, let's not forget, we get into some of the higher end cars here with massive aero, and the aero underneath the car at the nose and the tail. When the track is really hot, there's that boundary layer of about 4 or 5 inches right off of that radiates heat. And heat, what does it do to a gas like air that is used by aerodynamics? It expands it and makes it less dense, so the aero is worse. So, yeah, tomorrow morning, assuming conditions are right, it could be wickedly quick here.
We're not quite on a record for Sunday Cup. We're closing in on one, I think, in Falcon Club TR. It's 39.1 set by Fez Bobber last year. So at least in the rear-wheel drive division of Club TR. So we've got a little ways to go, I think, in those two categories. But we're going to get the next group on track here shortly, and we should expect to see Street and Street GT and maybe Street Mod in this group as well. We'll see what we get and see how the orders go. Again, we were a little shy on street class cars here this weekend, but Track Mod in particular, an enormous field for them. And let's see what banners we got. We got yellow banners. This is Street GT leading us out to the green here momentarily. And this has got quite a fun mix of cars. That second car in line, that is Andy Vogel. That is our 2024 GridLife Street GT champion. And Andy Vogel, his year was just unbelievable. I mean, when you go back and look at the results that he had in Street GT, Vogel has run 6 rounds, and in all but one of them, won the event and obliterated track records. So not only did he max out the points, he had an additional event of max points, and then another event where he finished second.
That's incredible. That is incredible.
So he is going to be probably the one to beat in Street GT. Looks like we've got Street Mod out there as well. And again, as I said, I think we'll see Street as well. So 3 categories headed on track here, and we'll keep you flipping around between them and make sure we keep you up to date on all of them as best we can. So let's talk a little bit about these 3 classes that are heading on the racetrack and what these look like. The slowest of the 3 classes, as far as our speed index goes, is our street class. These are blue door cards and blue banners. Street class is primed for bolt-on turbocharged all-wheel drive cars or turbocharged front-wheel drive cars. You're going to look for power around 400 to 600 horsepower, depending on how much you've done. And you see coming into frame here, this is a street modified car. That's Michael Almec. This is also a street modified car with the teal banner. The teal, that signifies the modified category. And what that allows you to do is you're allowed to play a lot more with the motor, a lot more aero. It's a 200 tread wear class as far as tires are concerned. And you're going to see highest power levels somewhere in the low 700s. And then Street GT, this is one of my favorite categories. The gold banners, gold door cards. This is all your muscle cars, right? This is all the most 6 and 8 cylinder engines, but you can't touch the aero. It has to be factory aero, and you can't open up the motor. Bolt-ons only. And in your tire category, your tire width can't be wider than factory. So that's basically get a Corvette off the factory floor, get a Camaro, an M2, a Supra, bring it to the racetrack, throw some sticky tires on it, go.
And that makes it a really compelling category, doesn't it? You know, if you're not one of those folks that are, you know, the serious engineering people that, you know, want to get in and tinker and modify, but you want to run fast, there's no question Street GT is the opportunity for you to be able to go out there and do it. And they get around here so quickly.
Now this car, this purple Cayman we've got, typically it's driven by Jerry Liu, but this weekend it's actually driven by Cal Fortner. So Fortner instead, because they had an issue with the transmission in the Mercedes-AMG GTS, he's elected to borrow this car for his championship efforts here this weekend. And talk a little bit about the street modified running and how that's gone this year. For Cal Fortner, he's currently scored in 3rd in the championship. He's about 12 points back from Kyle McHugh, and then an additional 11 points back from Alan Patton. Both of those drivers are in GR Supras, so he is now taking from Mercedes efforts to Porsche efforts to try to run down that Toyota.
And he is just a perennial front runner, there's no question, in this category. And to just give you an idea, when he's got to think about changing the model car and the make of car he's running to try and deal with other people around him, says an awful lot about how competitive this category is.
Yeah, I think so. And also, when you go from a car that's as well sorted as an AMG GTS and you jump into a Porsche Cayman, think about the differences in this car. The AMG is a front mid-engine car. This Porsche is a mid-engine car. So you're basically moving the engine from in front of you to behind you. All the dynamics change. I mean, it's a completely different car. And so he's going to have to learn this at a racetrack that he doesn't have a lot of experience at. He was here last year, but there is a lot of efforts to consider here. So, time's going on the board here for Street Mod. Let's see what Fortner's got, and it's a 37.6 first lap out.
And, you know, when you go as well from that AMG, it's a heavier car with a lot more horsepower. So aside from the handling dynamics, with the big lump not being in the front but being in the middle, you also have a lighter car with not quite the horsepower. So now you have to sort of recalibrate your head to be willing to go a little deeper into the turn, because you don't have to slow down as much mass, so you can carry a little bit more speed through, which you need to do because you don't have the horsepower to haul you around once you get on the accelerator coming out of the turn. So as you said, you know, it's an adjustment. You know, and I love it when you hear, you know, somebody say, well, it's got 4 wheels, it's a car. It's like, yeah, but every one of them have their little nuances, and it's the rare person who can hop in any car from another brand completely and immediately be right on point.
Here's our Street GT running order as it stands. This is a busy category here this weekend. Andy Volkel to the top. No one didn't suspect that. Almost 2 seconds clear of Robles in the 874. But look at the size of this field we've got here. And how about Dustin Williams? It's a black M2 that he's got. New car. He was running the, I think his Type R last year. But Dustin Williams is here with Valvoline, and he's been at GridLife events in the past. He's never had a chance at a podium sprint, though. He was really close at Midwest Fest a couple of months ago. This could be his first time, especially first lap out in the top 5. That's a good place for Williams to be.
That's best place to start up in that advancing and make everybody chase you. But just that quickly, he now gets demoted to 5th from that 4th spot. Great lap by Xiong.
Yeah, and Williams is going to improve on that lap. You see the green wipe there, signifying that he ran a personal best, but it's only a 1/10 of a pickup. Down into the corkscrew here. There's Dustin, a little wide there at the exit of the Andretti hairpin, but, you know, ran a quick lap. Probably looked down at the dashboard to see how he did, and maybe a little late to the brakes there. But, you know, as far as I know, this car was, I think they tested it recently, pretty stock, not a lot done to it. And we've seen Jackie Ding, what he's done with the M2 platform. He took the GR Super platform, found as much speed as he possibly could in that, then switched to the M2, took that into the track mod category, running 2nd in points this year, I should add. So I think this will be a great platform for Dustin to continue learning on. Hello, squirrel bottom left. Do you see that?
I did not.
Cut back to that if we could. He's probably going to be gone by the time, well, that's all right.
Just watching some racing.
You know. Anyway, sorry, I was distracted by the wildlife here. Not like I haven't seen a squirrel 1,000 times. But.
I was just going to say, boy, talk about the definitive squirrel.
I've heard that from more than one person.
It really was a squirrel.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Williams down the hill here into the corkscrew. And the gearbox in this car as well is just so fluid. And the thing that Jackie found so impressive about this BMW is that all the electronic woes they had when they were figuring out the Supra, they had to fight the car a little. It didn't want to let them take it to the limit. This BMW will take you a little further without kind of getting in your way. Even when you turn things all the way down, there's still some safety features and things. This car will let you hang it out a little bit more, and the performance potential is as high or higher than the Supra, which is a much lighter car, by the way.
Well, that says a lot. And I mean, you know, these M2 CSRs, they are just, I mean, what a great turnkey race car in a lot of different categories. And then to see them come out and be really competitive in this category, and especially, you know, how well they take. You don't have to do a lot of modifications to it, but it seems that you can do some mods to it, and it responds really well to it.
Yeah, it's such a smooth car. I think forgiving as well. That's important. And there he is again, picking him up at turn 4. Vong Hei, by the way, that 258 car, that is a new Tesla Model 3. And because of the way the, I think it's the tire selection that he's got, and also the way that this car was built that's different from the prior cars. The new cars are now eligible for Street GT when they weren't prior. Holy cow. Who was that sailing through 6?
He made it.
Was that it was the Tesla?
It was. You can hear them. The tires really nicely, of course.
There he is. And you see the hazards going on. That's the ABS working hard for Vong Hei right now. Chasing a Crown Vic, by the way. How about that? That's TJ Keon at the 305 down in 13th place.
I was waiting to look at that.
I mean, usually it's chasing the Tesla, not running from it. Crown Vics, at least in California. But I mean, hey, there is no excuses. Get your car on the racetrack.
You bet. Absolutely. Come out, enjoy.
What? I mean, California brings the wildest things, man.
You know, there is a car culture out here that is, well, you know, talking about it, you think back in the glory days, you know, when first the hot rodding, and then sports car racing, you know, at Sebring, at Willow, at Riverside, and at Willow, and all of these, you know, these great tracks that created, you know, I mean, you think about the drivers that have come out of here, just phenomenal names. Maybe Dan Gurney, one of the most prominent amongst them. You know, there is a car culture here, and it's very unique to SoCal. There's no question.
You know, the one thing I'm wondering right now, I guess being clarified in my brain, is why we no longer see these cars patrolling the highways, because it's getting passed. And when you got, you know, the law enforcement behind the wheel, they need to be able to catch that Porsche. So, you know, every car's had its time, but maybe the Crown Vic has seen its
Crown
days.
Vic had its day, for sure.
Most feared car in North America, probably. Maybe not here today, but at one point.
That's part of its legend, to be sure.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you see a Crown Vic coming and you just lift.
As far as our street category, a little bit light. We mentioned that there's not a ton of cars in this category this week, and here's good news for those guys, Greg. They all advance to the podium sprint.
So that'll be fun.
That'll be fun.
They get to see, they get to get out here and just run laps, but it's a whole different deal, Kyle, when you get into the podium sprint, when you've got 2 laps to put in a really strong lap and see if you can take it to the competition. That little bit of extra pressure, those that respond to it well, it's just great to see it. Those that let it get to them, it's easy to see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so interesting.
Well, TJ Keon brings the car through turn 10. It doesn't want to do it, but he's having the time of his life. And I think Tom O'Gorman had a chance to drive a Crown Vic on track on snow tires. And he came back after that experience one day and said, you know what I want to make a racing series that's Crown Vics on snow tires, because I had more fun in that car than any race car I've ever climbed behind the wheel of. So
was it on a dry track?
It's on Mid-Ohio. Yeah, I think it was dry.
Dry, wow.
Dry and hot.
With snow tires.
Yep. It was not snowing either.
Chunking them off.
Yeah.
Sliding like crazy. Yeah.
And I think this GR86 approaching us is Larry Chen, giving us a look at his ride down there at the bottom of the screen. There he went. And he's P5 right now in Street Mod, currently advancing to podium sprint if he can stay there. And just for reference, Chen is 0.2 of a second quicker than Jeremy Selenius, who's in a C5 Corvette. So he's making speed right now in that Toyota GR86.
He really is. Boy, I'll tell you, Schieffer has really covered this field, though, hasn't he? What a lap.
He has. What is she for driving here this weekend? That's what I want to know. New names, new faces, and it is a 2021 Toyota GR Supra. So
there you go.
That answers that question. Mike Amick, all the way from the Midwest, has joined us in the number 6. He's P3 at the moment as the checkered flag is out here on our second group of the qualifying session here.
Yeah, Amick's one of those guys that you can almost bank on him being at least on the podium. You know, he just seems to get it done.
These guys are still working through their final lap here, but how about Andy Vogel setting down the law early here, 134.923. That is the rabbit to chase. And it's about 0.4 of a second between Dustin Williams and Mark Kilgore. Whoa, big slide. Turn 6 has been a fun corner, hasn't it?
It is. I mean, it is just so tricky. It's so angular, and then you get that big compression right at the apex. And if you don't plan for it, if you don't get your line just right,
wow,
there's a lot of rotation. When everything compresses and then when it rebounds, it can just pitch you in a direction you really weren't expecting.
So Larry's working through turn 10. That car's awful quiet. I don't know if it's got a stock exhaust on it, but it is. And it's going to head into pit lane. Maybe we're just a little far away from it, though. Down into pit road, and this second session is complete. Let's have a look here at the results for qualifying 1 for the street modified category. Schaefer in the number 884. That GR Supra's up top. Team Cal and Jerry, P2 at the moment in the 226 car. Michael Amick third. Michael Baxey fourth. Larry Chen currently in advancing positions with Salinas Jolicoeur and Austin Sierra rounding out the running order there. In the Street GT category, let's have a look at things. A little more cars in this one. Andy Vogel, Robles, Zong, Coker, and Williams. Craig Coker, by the way, in a Tesla Model S, and maybe a Model 3, actually. And then Williams in that 595 M2 rounds out your top 5. That's going to be a fun battle to watch.
It is. And, the interesting thing with those Teslas is they have such great launch and acceleration and torque. Coming out of 5, when you get into it, it's going to go. But they're heavy because of the battery packs. Now, they are really low in the car, so the balance isn't bad. But, you climbing that, that hill with that weight is difficult. And then you come down through rainy and into 10 and trying to slow all that down. It's a challenge. But when you get it right, they're quick.
Here's a look at your street category. Willem Dries in the 621. I think that's an Elantra N, if I recall correctly, which would be a heck of a way to get things started. And it is a 2022 Hyundai Elantra N. And then Luke Lederman in second place, the number 922. That's a Porsche Cayman. Greg Formosa in the number 39. That is the Mitsubishi Lancer. And Ernie Ramirez in the 757 is an Acura Integra. So there's quite a fun mix of cars there, too.
Great mix. And that's what you absolutely love about Track Battle, the NOS Energy Track Battle Championship. Is just, again, huge diversity. And as we now start to get into the seriously modified stuff,
you could say that.
You could see some absolutely wild things, and man, do they fly.
So I am going to take a guess here, just based on our entry list size, that we likely will have, well, they could share a category, but we could also see TrackMod and Unlimited get their own groups because there is just a huge variety of cars. And I didn't see Sasha Anise at the front of the field there, so I would think that this is just TrackMod coming up. So that's how big our most modified classes are this weekend. How many TrackMods do we have? We've got 16. And then in the unlimited category, 12. That is a large field for a rule set, Greg, where there are no rules.
Yeah. Here's a car, tinker, go.
Yeah, the only
what
rule
can you do with it?
Other than the safety regulations for the unlimited category is that the car has to have, at one point, had a VIN number.
That's it.
That's it.
There you go. There you go.
And track mod, you've got two different paths you can walk in track mod. You've got the traditional track modified route, which is you can take basically a car and make the ultimate track day machine. You can put crazy aero on it. You can put 100 treadwear tires on it. You can do whatever you want to the motor. We've seen ITB V8 swap Miatas in this field, right?
Yep.
So just crazy stuff. But the other route you can go that's been pretty popular as of late is the track modern side of the rule set, which is the same category, but now it is also giving you a path to take a modern supercar and run it in a more stock form. And when you have these crazy modified cars and these kind of stock supercars, you end up almost at the same pace.
Yes.
And so there's two different paths to choose, and you get a great mix here in California.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, I think, the guys that are doing, and gals that are doing the old track mod route, when they can go out and beat one of those modern supercars with their own creation, boy, talk about fulfilling. That's pretty special.
Yeah, we've got Johnny Grunwald out there in a 1994 Mazda RX-7. Chris Boersma's here in his 1999 Honda Civic, and you got a Toyota Corolla out there in the form of John Farrow. And then you've got, Porsche 911s. Gabe Zamora's got one. Kenton King's got one. And speaking of, that is the 274. That is Gabe Zamora, who I believe was on the podium in track mod last year. And as he leads this field out of pit lane, I would venture to guess that he's been quickest in practice so far, too.
Yes, he was. 1:30.653. So that sort of gives us an early target time to see what he's going to be able to do in that 911.
And 1:30.653 is just 0.2 off his track record that he set here last year.
That's getting serious about it. And then when we have Unlimited coming out, wow, the speed that we're going to see there is just ridiculous. But these guys are plenty quick.
So Track Mod is out on the course right now. And they're going to head out for their first qualifying session of the weekend. And great mix of cars. Jessica Powers, by the way, remember that purple C7 Corvette we would see all the time? She has traded that for a Nardo Gray C5 Corvette. So kind of trading one thing for another, but we'll see how that pans out for Jessica.
Nardo Gray.
Yeah, like a flat kind of sharky gray. And then Azmath Muhammad is out here as well in the number 50. It's that white Z06. It's a brand new 2024 Chevrolet Corvette Z06, flat plane crank engine. We've seen these in, the likes of something like IMSA SRO with the Corvette Z06 GT3. The Z06 road car. It's different, but it's not that different. And the performance potential of these cars is so unbelievably high. And I think Azmath is going to turn a lot of heads here this weekend. There he is in the white Corvette heading down the hill. And we're going to get a great barometer of how these cars will perform in GRIDLIFE.
Yeah, I love that. Just highlighting the lines on the there. Look at that with that white and that looks like a little blue. That's just gorgeous. Way to use the lines of the car to augment the look of a car that has really serious performance.
Paired with the Turn-In Concepts team. I think he's also running in GLTC this weekend in his Toyota MR2 that was previously set up for Falcon Club TR. So another one of our double duty drivers here this weekend. And here goes the laps. We begin them in the next minute and 30 seconds. We're going to have a great idea of where these cars are going to stack up. Muhammad down the front straightaway. Engine screaming, but he's got some traffic ahead of him. I think he would have liked to clear that out a little bit more.
Yeah, and that blue BMW up front.
Jackie Ding.
Jackie Ding, yeah, keep your eye on him. I've taken to calling him Mr. Excitement because not only is he just wicked fast, he really knows how to just hang it out and let it go. And he's just a joy to watch. And going to see how that plays out. Ooh, a moment there.
Yeah, that was a big slip. And I think Azmath had to jump out of the throttle. That's the risk you run by trailing closely. And there is a general common courtesy in the NOS Energy Track Battle Championship that if you know you're slower, you pull out of the way. But lap one, you just got to see what you got first.
And that black car right there, that one behind it. Look at the arrow on that car, folks. That's Rob Dahm in his RX-7. And you could serve a dinner on that front splitter, and you could probably serve a buffet on the rear wing. They're massive.
Well, that car is a 3-rotor RX-7. That car also climbed Pikes Peak earlier this year. And Rob has taken it all over the country, trying all these automotive exercises to really, kind of rekindle the love for rotary engines. And it's been a big passion project of his, and it's always great to have Rob here in the paddock with us. Lap times on the board, though, Greg. 1:31.665 for Zamora, but here come the rest of the Angry Bees.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see here. Right now, he's got a nice little handle on things here, but let's see who's able to turn the time. Jackie Ding right there in that third spot. It's not bad for an opening lap. And remember, if you're running one of the smaller cars here, it takes you a little bit longer because it's lighter to build the heat in the tires and get the grip and get the pressure there. And Jackie decides, you know what, I know how to hurry that process up. I'm just going to sling it a little bit.
He left tire marks back there. Mr. Excitement is exciting.
Yeah, oh, he is. Always, always.
And he has taken this effort in this M2 to the top, or near the top of the NOS Energy Track Battle Championship standings. In the track modified category this year, he has currently scored second behind Kyle McHugh.
Oh, he did it again.
Yeah,
Up through turn. The exit is 6, just drifting that entire complex.
If you want some really good YouTube entertainment later, go to Jackie Ding's YouTube channel and watch his onboard from Lime Rock Park. God, they are hanging these things out halfway to the Pacific Ocean. Look at the slide.
Yeah.
And he has got no rear grip right now. They were fighting understeer at Autobahn, and so they were really changing some setup configurations. Oh boy, to try to get this car to turn.
Well, maybe
they got it.
They got it and went a step or two too far. Look at that Toyota behind. Whoa. Then look at that big thundering vet coming up behind.
Yeah, and he didn't get really any traction leaving turn 11. He skidded right across the exit curbing.
Yep.
Still found enough time for a 33.5, but he's definitely got an ill-handling car there, I think.
Oh, and he goes straight off, way deep down into turn 2, and drops to 4th in the process. Yeah, he's fighting an issue for sure.
Yeah, he's going to get out of the way there and let Josh Powers, the number 19, go on through. And where's Josh? He's P17 in the championship standings. Scored some points back at Midwest Festival, Mid-Ohio, and Road America. Best finish was an 8th back at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.
And he's 6th right now by a 10th. It's really close. And did you see, is that car just letting everybody, there he comes. He got it going again.
Up in through turn 5 now. Brad Perkins all the way from Kansas in that number 27 chicane car. P3 at the moment. Brandon Hodge in a Supra. And Hodge, another one of our front-running competitors, 4th in the standings this season. Has yet to win a round, but his best finish was 2nd, and that was just last time out at Autobahn 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, he's been really good at accruing points, hasn't he? Just piling on the points, and that's what keeps you in contention. And, you know, it's not unheard of for somebody to win a championship without getting an event win in all kinds of different types of motorsports, because points win you championship, wins don't. Wins help, but they don't define it by any means.
No, certainly not. In his worst finish was an 8th. He's been on 4th or better every other round so far. And there's that blue Supra. That is Hodge there. Powers improves to a 134.5. How about 5 thousandths of a second between those two?
Wow. How close is that? Oh, man.
I mean, this is the excitement of the podium sprint competition and the qualifying is, you know, you're not looking at the top. You're looking at P5, P6, P7 all the way until we get to that podium sprint tomorrow afternoon.
And when you see one of the names go green, folks, that means they just set their personal best lap. And so you could see that, and you might be thinking, that was interesting. A
little dust on that right side of that car. I think he's had a little off-track excursion.
I think so, too, and letting his crew know. As well, but and then the purple, of course, means fastest in that category. But like there, Cabrera is setting his personal best, and you would expect that. You know, you get a couple of laps in, and you really get to understand what the grip is of the track. And one of the things about this track, Kyle, is it changes because the wind. You know, this is California in the fall, it's dry, right? And all of that little sand is so easy to get it to blow onto the track. And then you have somebody that runs a little wide and hauls even more up onto the track. And so you can actually come into a corner and find yourself with a bit less grip than you did the previous time through. And so there's a lot of, you got to anticipate when you're driving at serious speed anyway. Eyes up, as it were. And on this track in particular, you've just got to be ready for anything.
Checkered flag here on the track mod run group here, and with a few laps in the books. Zamora at a 130.6 is your current leader. Rob Dahm through turn 6 at the moment. Brandon Hodge picks up and moves the cut line up a little ways.
Yeah, they were, separated, you said, by 5 1/1000ths, and suddenly he found something at 6/10 now.
Azmat Muhammad in that Z06, a couple seconds behind that cut line. There was a lot of drivers that were looking at that Z06 platform and were curious how it would perform. I think the question mark was maybe not so much in track mod, but in Street GT specifically. There is a MSRP limit in Street GT, which I think currently the MSRP limit when the car was new couldn't be more than $125,000. And with the Z06 falling under that, with the performance potential that it has, it was like, okay, this could break the category. But we haven't seen one in Street GT yet. And track mod, I think, will give it a really good fight for a top 5 spot.
Yeah, I wonder when somebody's going to try that in Street GT, because it's certainly, you know, by the numbers, would be a missile.
It could be, and it might be. Here's a look at your session results here for Track Battle Q1 and the track mod category, and we only have one class left. It is the unlimited class, and some of the fastest cars you're going to see here this weekend. Some cars that have climbed Pikes Peak, some that are built for straight line, and others that are set for the road course here. It is going to be a lot of fun to watch, so stick with us, and we've got more action coming your way after this as well. We've got one more session of the Track Battle Qualifying. We've got our second Rush SR race of the day, and then we've got our GLTC race, and we'll finish off with some drift this afternoon. So a little bit more of everything before we wrap up our Friday coverage here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca.
We keep throwing the diversity at you.
We sure do. I mean, look, if we did all one thing, wouldn't it get a little boring, Greg?
Oh, my goodness, absolutely. That's the joy of this series. And, you know, especially these festival weekends, one of the things that's so fun, because normally, you know, you go to a track when they're going to have a concert at night, and the music venue is off somewhere, way in spectator grounds or somewhere. The magic of these festival weekends for GRIDLIFE is the stages in the paddock. And that's the invite. You can come in here, you can listen to great music and still wander the paddock, look at the cars, talk to the teams, talk to the drivers. It truly is an inclusive energy here. And that's the paddock vibe, as it's called here in GRIDLIFE, is come, enjoy, have fun, be entertained.
So I am peeking down at the false grid there, which is just on that track entrance you see middle of the screen. I believe I see Mike Dussault's car there, which is great because this morning during one of the practice sessions we had a red flag, and usually that's an alarm bell for something pretty major on course, and it turns out that it was just a fire under the hood of that car. It looks like they might have gotten it repaired. And how about Sasha Anise in that Nissan 350 Kels, they call it. And Greg, what do you see on those tires there on pit lane?
I see what looks like warmers to me.
Yes, you do.
He is getting ready to go out and get after it. But the problem for Sasha is there's a guy here driving the number 512 named Benjamin Sloss, and this car is insane.
Yeah, so Ben Sloss's car, and I'm not sure, I didn't see him on the false grid yet.
I didn't see him either, yeah.
But if he comes on track, you know, we'll give you the full story, but it is a Mark IV Ford GT. It was Ford's last Ford GT run that they are going to ever produce. It was one of 67 built for the world. $1.7 million. I mentioned there was an MSRP limit in Street GT, certainly not an unlimited. And that car makes over 800 horsepower with a 3.5-liter turbocharged V6 power plant, very similar to what you'd find in the GT Le Mans sports racer that went back and repeated their famous Le Mans victory 1966 to 2016.
Yep.
So really impressive vehicle. Very unique car, and we're excited to see it on course here this weekend. He is shooting for the production car record. He also took it recently at Circuit of the Americas in that car.
It is something else. And that 67 build, there, you know, the reason for that is the success the Ford GTs had in 1967 just makes that build number all the more significant and special.
So just moments away here from the launch of this last qualifying one session for the day, and Kels sits on pit lane. Now this is a hybrid Nissan 350Z. It's got a bunch of Mountain Pass performance goodies on it, a custom water-cooled battery solution on this car. Makes about 650 to 700 horsepower, all-rear drive in this car. But that hybrid powertrain makes this thing an absolute weapon. It has the track record at Lime Rock for GRIDLIFE, and it also has it here in the unlimited category, 123,536. So Sasha Anise is going to be one to watch.
Without a doubt. And the other guy that is, and this is the diversity we're talking about, because you got Sasha coming out in this hybrid Nissan. You've got Benjamin Sloss.
There he is.
There it is.
Oh, look at that thing,
Look
Greg.
at that thing with that GT. And then Mike Dussault, who's one of the faster guys, what is that, a 69 Camaro?
I think 67
Camaro. That is just, he has worked on that thing. It is stunning and as fast as it looks.
With that car, broke over 200 miles an hour on the front straightaway at Road America.
There you go, folks.
I looked at some IndyCar onboards. I know they've got a lot more aero and they do it all different, but they did not hit 200 miles an hour. Just to give you some perspective of how fast that car is. And there is Sloss in that Ford GT. And what a special piece of kit this car is.
Oh, and just look behind the front wheels, behind the rear wheels. Those tail lights are literally just sort of free suspended in there. They're not, I mean, they're attached, but they're not like in a massive frame. The whole reason being the tail lights and that area behind that front wheel is all to extract air out from the wheel wells and from underneath the car to make it stick.
Yeah, it's just an unbelievable piece of equipment. I mean, this is one of those cars that you would see parked at a car concourse or in a showroom or in some, evil villain's underground man cave, right? Exactly. I mean, but this is not a car that you would typically see in an environment of competition where you're putting this car at risk, both mechanically and physically, to run this weekend here at GRIDLIFE. And it feels like a special privilege to have a car like this here, not only for the fans, but for us. Have a look.
Have a listen. That thing is basically, I like what you said. This is a GT Le Mans car running as fast as it should, because those GT Le Mans cars were restricted from what they could do. This is one of those essentially unleashed, and I cannot wait to see. And the battle, Sasha Nice, I mean, he's capable of throwing down some stunningly quick laps as well. So it'll be fun to see, but man, that is one gorgeous bit of kit, as they would say.
I mean, this is even taken further than the GTLM car as far as the aero is concerned. The diffuser looks like it's straight off the race car, but it's even lower, and it's got even more kind of slouch in the rear to kind of get the rear end of the car out of the air. I mean, it's got a 7-speed sequential transmission. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Everything. Well, who is it that had what organization had a key role in building this?
Oh, yes. Thank you for teeing that up. This car was built in Canada by Multimatic.
Yep.
And if you're familiar with that name, they are a race car builder and team that have found a lot of success in sports car racing.
They built the Ford GTs that went back and won at Le Mans and everything.
And the Mazda prototypes for many years. And currently they are also involved with the Ford GT3 program. They build all those cars as well. So they know how to go fast.
Oh, yeah.
And Ben Sloss does as well. Bronze-rated driver. He's got experience in IMSA. And he's about to put it all on display here for us at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. NOS Energy Track Battle Championship. Can we break a track record with this Mark IV Ford GT green flag? Here we go.
Oh, this should be fun to watch. And one last thing about Multimatic, Larry Holt, who is I mean, he literally, when you look at him now, all I can see is Doc from the Back to the Future movies, with that big head of hair, Einstein-ish. And they made their name, first and foremost, working on suspension components, and have grown that into an incredibly successful car company. And Larry Holt, one of the most brilliant people I've ever met, and one of the funniest. And man, this is going to be fun to watch. And look at that car; it's just stuck, just stuck.
It's like you got a slot car and you just stuck. I mean, look at this through 6. 2,700 pounds, which is incredibly lightweight for a car that makes over 800 horsepower. 7-speed dual-clutch transmission.
And he set a 122.717, which is the fastest time turned in our NOS Energy Track Battle practice session earlier.
That already was a track record for us. We'll see if he can do it again. Into turn 10. Looks like he might even be, again, he's on Michelin slick, so it might be lap 2.
I think so,
but
absolutely. And do keep in mind, the track records can come in NOS Energy Track Battle in any session, from practice to,
well, wasn't that close? 122.426, and that was faster.
Woo, that's it. New record.
New track record, Ben Sloss.
First lap.
And it looks like Craig Coker in the Tesla Model S, 137.199. Looks actually pedestrian in comparison to
really
the GT
does.
right
and
now.
That's 37's moving around here.
Here's Sasha.
Ooh, 25.1.
Not bad, but this car I know can do a couple laps at a time. And he charged into turn 1 that time, didn't he?
He is serious.
This thing is an unbelievable work of art. So much custom work has gone into this. You see the green light there on the rear quarter window. That's the hybrid status light. So in case there's an issue, that light would turn red and signify that the car is not safe to touch. I mean, this is that into the mechanical workings of this car. A hybrid powertrain, water-cooled battery system.
Look at him attack. Ooh, in the background. Dropping the tires in between 3 and 4 and hanging on to it. That was close. Look at him. Every piece of racetrack he can use here, he's going to.
And up into the corkscrew. Sasha Anise on the charge. Retook the GRIDLIFE track record at Lime Rock Park. And this thing is working good now. You can hear it. It is.
Yep.
Big slide through rainy curve. He gathers it up, but he was laying it out on the racetrack there.
Yep, and that, of course, is going to really scuttle that lap. That was a big slide, and that's a big, big momentum loss. He did turn a 123.4 in the practice session. And, man, he was giving it everything in Rainy. And you've talked about it, Kyle, how, Rainy is a really tricky corner here. Just with the banking and the angle that you hustle through there.
Sloss went quicker. How about a 121.177?
Boom.
He was shooting for the teens here this weekend.
Well,
so
he may not be that far off it. And again, it could be that tomorrow morning is going to be the fast time here.
Yeah, what a great drive for both of those two drivers, and it's going to be a slugfest between those two, I think, once Sasha gets some laps in. Navarra in the 358 runs in 4th place in that 789 of Ryan Radishell. That's a 1990 Mazda MX-5. I think that's the car that's right behind Sasha right now. And a 27 flat's not so bad in an MX-5 when you've got all the engine swapped out of it.
Yeah, it's incredible what he's doing. And he was the guy that was hanging it out as well. And the guy we haven't seen is Dussault. He was in the pre-grid, and I thought we saw him come to pit lane, but he hasn't come out yet. That's a heck of a car in and of itself. That Viper throwing out some sparks.
Nick Anderson behind the wheel. He drove a long way to be here, and this is a special car as well. This was effectively a factory race car, and it is pretty.
That makes a sound that is just extraordinary, that V10.
Vipers are unlike any other cars out there.
Yeah.
Looks like he might be backing it down potentially. I saw a Sloss in the background in the GT, still getting after it there. Not only can it go fast, it can go fast for 3-4 laps at a time, which I can tell you is not easy for a road car.
No, it's not. But it's in a 1 with Michelin slicks on it, and 2 with the genes it has in it of a top flight Le Mans winning race car. That makes it, able to do stint lengths at speed.
All right, we said factory race cars. Here's one, Mercedes-AMG GT3. We saw this last year. I believe this is James Kirkham behind the wheel, unless the number board is lying to me. 450. We haven't seen him cross the stripe yet, but it should be James Kirkham. And again, working with these cars closely in some other series, Greg, you and I have both experienced the ground-pounding sensation of the AMG GT3, 6.2-liter naturally aspirated V8 that the SLS AMG used to have. They haven't changed a thing under the hood of that car, and for good reason.
Yeah, when it's developed at this level, coming out of the factory, it really doesn't make a lot of sense sometimes to mess with much. You've got a pretty good slate of German engineers that have tweaked this thing about as good as it can be tweaked. The only thing is maybe open up the restrictors a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit of a bobble there. These cars have very advanced traction control and ABS. They're set up to be easy to drive, but find the performance potential quickly. And used now globally in series like IMSA and now the World Endurance Championship, the SRO. You've also got DTM that these cars are using as well. So really it is truly a global platform. And we don't see a lot of them here in GRIDLIFE because most of the time factory race cars are not generally attainable for the common man, so to speak.
Exactly.
Right? So they're not something that we really have a place for in wheel-to-wheel racing, but certainly in the time attack space.
Hey, look at that lap in East just turned 23.8, so now he is starting to really find some pace as you're talking about. But man, this Merc is just a beast, isn't it?
It's one of the best sounding cars, I think, in sports car racing. You have to give me the Lamborghini Huracan Evo as well, but that naturally aspirated V8 power. I know the GT4 is cool too, but once you run everything through the bi-turbos, it's not quite as good.
Yeah, well, I agree completely. Yeah, the V10, you're right. That's in the Lamborghinis and the Audis. That has a mighty sweet howl to it as well. Sasha, full commitment up the hill. Now, let's see. You know, he really had it working into the corkscrew on that one lap, and then it kind of all went away in rainy. Let's see what he can do here. That looked even cleaner through the corkscrew. Now he's got to walk that tightrope through here. Man, just absolutely perfect.
Back on power right at the sausage curve there. His track record that he set last year that Sloss has already dethroned was a 1:23.5. I'm sure he'd like to at least get there today and have a chance to beat it tomorrow. Out onto the rumble strips. Here comes Anise in the Kels car, they call it, across the stripe. And is it a pickup? It is not that time. 1:23.855. That might be all she has in this session.
So his lap this morning was quicker than his old record then by a 10th.
Oh, okay.
Right? Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. At 1:23.42.
So Sasha is putting it out there. And again, that might be just a function of the track temperature as well.
And Radishel, I mean, he is doing a superb job in that RX-7.
I think Radishel's in a MX-5, right? Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
MX-5. Sorry about that. My bad.
Sloss is back out. Going again. And the challenge that he's going to have, and we have this all the time with when you get really fast cars, is traffic.
Yes.
How do you keep running laps that are 5-10 seconds quicker than everybody else without having to navigate a little bit of it? And there's a couple 911s out on track right now that I think are really high performance potential. Mark Arsenal in the 893 car that's just ahead of him. It's a 2015 Porsche 911.
There's a Lotus Elise out there as well.
Tom Tang.
And Tom Tang. But the guy that I'm intrigued that I want to... One, there's a CRX out there.
Yes, we saw that.
How is a CRX in Unlimited? That's a...
If you want to run on slicks, you end up in Unlimited.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yep.
Okay. The other guy that I want to see this car at Speedy is Brian Navarra. And he's fourth right now. I mean, he's advancing. And we saw that Mustang getting ready to head to Tech yesterday. And, man, did that thing look like a fun beast.
Yeah, unbelievable. There's the checkered flag here in qualifying 1 for the NOS Energy Track Battle Championship. Quick look here at the results so far. Benjamin Sloss set the new GRIDLIFE track record. We could see that go even further down. 1:21.177. Anise, Radishel, Navarra, and Hayes are your top 5 here, Greg. What an unbelievable qualifying 1 for the unlimited category. But that is it for the NOS Energy Track Battle Championship Q1. It's all we're going to see today.
Yep.
Plenty more tomorrow and plenty more racing coming your way. Up next, we'll take a quick break. It's Rush SR Race 2. We'll see you in a moment.
Welcome to our world. A world of dirt, drift, and dodging fate. A world where all of motorsport collides. A world of digging deep, of grit, glory, and bitter defeat. Inhabited by the strong, the fearless, the barely sane. Welcome to our world. Welcome to the world of NOS.
Blake, we need a commercial for GRIDLIFE. Team Eibach drivers, go.
What about Ferris?
Oh, you mean Mr. I'm the fastest Corvette time attack driver in the world? He's too busy in the spotlight right now.
What about Jackie? He's pretty good on camera.
No, he's finally got an actual BMW now, so we don't have any footage.
Essa?
Nah, he's retired now, and he's super YouTube famous.
Guteel?
That guy lives under his car doing tutorials, not interviews.
I don't know, dude, fine. Just run, like, B-roll of coilover springs or something.
The Falcon Azenis FK510 tire is engineered for today's high-performance vehicles. Built with added tread rigidity for precise handling and an advanced rubber compound that inspires confidence, rain or shine. Get more out of your sports coupe or sedan with the Azenis FK510.
And welcome back to GRIDLIFE Live in a beautiful Friday afternoon from WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. My name's Kyle Heyer, joined by Greg Creamer back here in just a moment's time. But Rush SR Race 2 is coming up just next. We've got some racing and some drift coming your way for the rest of the day here on Friday. And then it's all racing and all time attack all the time tomorrow morning and afternoon. Really excited to be here for the GRIDLIFE's second festival at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Rush SR put on an exceptional show this morning with a little bit of drama. We had Chris Forsberg involved in a collision that caught up his teammate Sheldon Rosenbaum and the two of Michael Schneider. Those cars were unable to complete the race. We'll see if they've made the grid here for this second race here in just a moment's time. This race will be about 15 minutes long, and we'll get the green in just a few minutes. But the track is still waiting to be cleared here as we get set to go racing. It is warm and breezy here in Salinas, California. and it has been a lovely day for on-track action. Cars are sitting on pit lane. Alex Chang in the number 11. He has been the driver to beat so far this weekend. And earlier today, Greg, we saw an exceptionally entertaining race, but all of it was in the rearview mirrors for Alex Chang.
Yeah, he got to the front early and just dominated. Had that, I mean, not like he was, driving off into the distance, but nobody had an answer to try and get back around him, even after a full course caution for an incident. And when they went back to green, and we were thinking, all right, is this the opportunity? Because some of the drivers that had been back a little bit, including that yellow one there of Gamma, we thought, all right, maybe they're going to have a shot at it now. Radman had been super fast in that beautiful chrome blue car. Nope, nobody could deal with Alex Chang. He was just absolutely spot on, fast enough to fend everybody off.
Yeah, and I think we saw that at Road America as well, but he was the one on the attack. Now he's on defense. It's a little different position to be in. Cole Gamma, though, the aggression was there in that first race, locked up those tires. I think he's going to be a little more cautious heading down the hill. It's a very unique corner because you have that kink, and then you're sort of braking and trying to persuade yourself to the left to defend. It gets you in a tricky position with that left front tire.
Absolutely it does, and it's really easy. Here's that turn that we're right underneath that Mission Bridge, and you can see it's just sort of a little bit of an angular bend, but the thing is there's that rise and then drop, and if you misplace your position coming up and over that, and it looks like it's a long run down into the Andretti hairpin, well, you know what? It's not. It comes at you in a big hurry, and as you fold in down here, as we're getting into this viewpoint here, if you've missed it as you go up and over that little rise, you could find yourself having to check up for just a second. And in these cars, in any car, but in particularly a car that's light but doesn't have a lot of power, it's got great power to weight, but that oomph is not there. It's a momentum car, and you've got to keep the momentum going. And just the slightest little lift, especially a spec class relative to everybody else, they are going to come steaming by you here. So there's, this is it's a fun track, but it is definitely a technical track. There's no question about it.
Yeah, so the other thing to consider is that Chris Forsberg, who kind of tipped off that collision at the tail end of the first race, because of that collision, he's been dropped to the tail of the field here for race number 2. He will start 35th behind Nate Hamilton, who we saw have issues as well. So while things were looking very up for the Team Rapscallion guys, they've got a lot of work to do in this one.
Absolutely. And we were talking about right as that ended, we said, Cole Gamma might end up on the podium in that first race because of that little contact with Forsberg. And indeed, that is exactly what happened here. He got the podium, and everybody else has advanced up. But boy, I tell you, Andy Vogel had to do a quick turnaround, didn't he?
He sure did.
Hop out of his thundering or his air-ripping Corvette in NOS Energy Track Battle and hop on board this little thing. Talk about having to adjust maybe your braking points. Turn in, acceleration.
Just a little.
Just a bit.
Let's roll through the starting lineup here for Rush SR race number 2. It's Alex Chang and the Rush Stig that will share the front row. Then it's Cole Gamma, Rob Radman in row number 2, Brian Tompkins and Mitchell Cooper, then Andy Vogel, Kyle Melnick, Jacob Gailey, and Team JC Racing in the top 10.
And starting in the 11th spot, Dave Madison and Brett DiGiacomo. Then in 13th, it'll be Hassan Ahmed. 14th, John Parkinson. 15th, Ryan Kircher. 16th, Sebastian Beaupre. 17th, Brandon Showalter. 18th, Gage Hughes. 19th, Bill Wright. And rounding out your top 20, Kelsey Billingsley.
And Ryerson Whistle starts 21st place at the 78. Grant Anderson rolls off 22nd. Then it's Glenn Deganese, Bill Lasure, and TJ Hunt in your top 25. Rahul Nair, Team Rush Central Texas in 26th and 27th. Elizabeth Byerly in 28th. Michael Schneider and Sheldon Rosenbaum, assuming they got those cars repaired, they'll start 29th and 30th, Greg.
And then 31st, it'll be Larry Brady. 32nd, Nick Billingsley, who had a problem in that first race, as did the rest of the field here. Vila Saldana, Nate Hamilton, we had that moment. Forsberg, the penalty, and Kaylee Countryman will bring up the back of the field. 36 deep for this race. Stout.
I'll say. I mean, what a great field of cars. If you're curious about this, you can learn more on the Rush Auto Works website. These cars start at about $40,000. They have a new one coming next year that is a little bit more money, but it brings with it almost double the performance potential of this car. These have 1,000cc GSX motors in them, chain-driven cars. They've got a pneumatic 6-speed gearbox, and they got the old-fashioned 3 pedals. You won't need the third one once you're moving, and they can get up pretty high speed. They just change the teeth on the sprockets, and they can attain different top speeds. We've seen well over 130, 140 miles an hour, and what a way to have fun. I think the accessibility of these cars makes them so attractive from a racer's perspective.
Well, the amount of money you pay and the amount of performance you get, that's what really, I think, sets these Rush SRs apart. They are just absolutely rocket ships. They are so high performance. They got decent aero. And the other part of it is the run cost in terms of if you have damage of some sort, the whole body is modular. So you just pull that piece off, and if there's something underneath, it's easy to access. You fix it, you put a new modular body panel on, you're back driving again. And the body panels aren't that expensive. I mean, they really have made a huge effort to make these cars really affordable.
Well, here's the field lined up. The lights on the safety car are out, and we're going to go green this time through. The Elantra N dives for home into turn 11. 36 cars getting ready to go racing there. Trying to see at the back. I see one of the Sunoco cars. I see two of the Sunoco cars, so I think we've got a couple of them back in the race. Here we go. Time to go racing. Rush SR Race 2, WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Green flag, and we're underway here at GRIDLIFE Laguna. 4 wide for 4th place. How much do you want it? Down to the Andretti hairpin.
Unbelievable, and to be expected. And the Stig was sort of playing a little bit with our pole sitter as they came into 11, but he just didn't have any problems with it. Chang controlled this beautifully. Look at that, 4-5 wide, middle of the Andretti hairpin, and they're all settling it in here. But it looks to me like Cole Gamma, he was the one who dropped back. Remember, he started 3rd, and he's faded back to about 6th. He got steamrolled.
Just pick a card out of the deck at this point. There's so many cards everywhere. I don't even know who's going to be leading this race after the first lap. Chang, Rush, Stig, and Radman top 3. Here's Gamma under fire here from a couple cars and on attack of another.
Yeah, he dropped back. He's now attacking, and it looked to me like, was that the number? Schneider already make that move up to the front? He couldn't have.
No,
that
I don't
white
think so.
car is who I'm wondering. Is that Tompkins, perhaps?
It's either Tompkins or Cooper. Whoa, big tank slapper.
If he wouldn't have saved that, that would have been huge.
Whoa, big lockup under brakes there. Rear tires that time for Alex Chang. He was deep in the pedal that time. First time down the corkscrew.
Just enjoying that sound as those cars come steaming down now through Rainey and into 10 here. And you don't often see a lot of it, but that is a seriously banked corner. You can really chuck the car in there quicker than you think. And now into that turn 11. And those top 2. Oh, wide run by Chang. Will the Stig be able to do anything with that?
A little bit of slipstream here on the front straightaway. Probably the best place on the course to use it. 5 car lengths between them, 0.3 of a second. Vocal up to 5th place, by the way. Vocal's in that yellow and black car there. And he's going to go for 4th on Tompkins into turn 1. Late on the brakes into the hairpin. And I think he's going to have this, and he will.
He gets it done. And for a minute there, you can see Gamma, who faded at the start, was thinking maybe I can follow him through, and Tompkins making sure to cover that pretty aggressively. So Vocal on the move. Obviously has some really recent time on the track. That never hurts, but such a different car to be driving in there. Tompkins runs wide, and boom, that quick. Gamma is through.
Yeah, it looks like Melnick in that teal and orange 53 is sizing up as well. Gailey in the 27 and Cooper back there in the 39 all packed up. Vocal a little wide. Got to watch track limits here. They will be marking track limits as leaving the racing surface beyond the painted curbing there, so you have to be cautious of that. Although there's no way to issue in-race penalties, they'll just see if you're doing it too much and give you a post-race penalty.
And they will hand those out, no question about it. And it's a good little battle right here, too, with this group. Melnick, Cooper, Gailey, Beaupre, really at war here as well. And that's one of the great things here, being a spec series. Even if you're not quite on the pace of the guys up front, that was huge. The guys up front, you still find a group to race with.
Oh, man, another cloud of the curbing there.
Really is.
Trying to get the number on that car. That was a nasty hit.
2 of them. He's really off his rhythm. That's the problem.
And look at the lead. Stig. Rush Stig in the rear wing of Alex Chang, but Rob Radman went quickest of anybody that time through in that chrome blue Rush SR into turn 2 now. The top 3 broken away. And Vocal would love for these 3 to start scrapping a little.
I think that car that had that double rough curb ride is Melnick.
Is it that black car?
Yeah.
mean, those sausage curbs there are designed to not cut the racetrack. They're not impossible to run over, but these cars don't really have the clearance to do that without jacking up the bodywork in the process.
Yeah,
so.
you don't want to be doing that constantly. Oh, look at this now. Gamma really getting a run on Vocal.
Here he comes, up the inside of 5. Tough line to stick for Vocal. And you see the car wiggling in the marbles there in the runoff, but they're side by side up to 6. Who gives, Greg?
Well, I don't know. This is, you going to try it? Vocal ramps the outside and carried enough speed. And I understand all the arguments for closed cockpit cars and all that, but when they got into 5, you could so clearly see Vocal in that pink helmet give that big look over. You going to give this to me, buddy? And they are at war out there. I love this.
And Eddie Vocal, remember, this is his first race in these cars. Gamma to the inside, slipping, sliding all over the racetrack through a rainy curve. This battle is on.
It is epic right now. And again, look at Gamma, gets that run. And you can see Vocal protecting just a little bit here. And that now is going to bring Tompkins right back into the mix.
Oh, man, these 3 all scrapping for position. Vocal's wide. Here comes Gamma, and Tompkins is in tow. Here it comes.
Gamma was sideways and yet still managed to have enough exit momentum to be able to get down to the inside of Vocal. That was pretty special.
Late lunge from Tompkins, really late. And he's going to try to fill the inside on Vocal, who's in the marbles, and there's trouble for Vocal.
Oh, no.
Looked like he just had trouble finding the gear. He got it.
Could be.
But through goes Tompkins and Cooper and Melnick. Melnick, I think, is in the teal car.
I think you're right. Yep.
Black car is a little further back.
Might be farther back. Yeah, my bad. I was trying to count cars, trying to figure out who that was. But, boy, what a break up front by Chang, the Stig, and Radman. About 3.5 seconds clear of the rest of the field right now. They've decided to settle this amongst themselves.
Through turn 6, Stig is hot in tow of Alex Chang. Chang just retook the fastest lap of the race.
I was going to say that because Radman, I think they've got their cars set up a little differently. Because Radman, he went, it took him 2 laps and then he just strung together 2 fast laps. And we saw that earlier, and now he may have had it come in a little too soon, and Chang may have had that car dialed up to really be stout, but boy, the Stig is applying huge pressure.
And I think for Radman, he's fallen off a little, but maybe just wants these 2 to race each other, burn their tires up a little. Short races, but you can certainly overheat them by sliding around too much.
Well, and oftentimes we'll see the Stig duck out of the picture late in the race so as not to take points away from the competitors here. Sometimes the Stig will stay in it right to the end here. And Radman, personal best, which tells you how fast these guys out in front are going. If Radman went faster than his previous fast lap. And, of course, keep in mind, fuel burning off.
Yeah.
These cars are light to start with, so a load of fuel in these cars is going to be a higher percentage than in a really heavy car, so they're going to get much more responsive.
Yeah, Rush Stig is really sizing him up now on the run to turn 5. We'll see if Chang goes defensive. Kind of stays to the right. Here comes the Rush Stig up the inside at turn 5, late on the brakes, and through to the lead.
Beautiful move, absolutely clinical. That's how you want to teach it, isn't it? You don't telegraph it too early, and then when you make that move, make sure the guy can't counter it. That was well executed.
Beautifully done. And now Alex Chang has to switch from defense to offense. And will the Stig be able to pull away from the Chang car and Radman in trail? And does Cole Gamma, now that Gamma's dispatched Andy Vocal, does he have anything for these front 3? Can he put a couple good laps in? Still a long way to go in this race relatively, right?
Yeah, there is. About halfway, really.
Yeah, we could get an earlier checker because they were on a little bit of a time crunch, so I wouldn't be surprised about that. But either way, the accordion is stretching right now, it looks like, up front.
Well, and that's one of the things that I like about GRIDLIFE is that the race time is always a little vague, right? It's around 15 minutes. Could be more, could be less. So you don't want to dawdle, right? You want to get after it here. Look at this scrap in the background.
Group of 4 here coming up into the shot. In the background there, I think I see Rosenbaum's moving through. He had a big clout earlier in the race. But there is a couple of his teammates. There's the 12 car that's in the front of that. That's DiGiacomo, and then that's Ryan Kircher in trail in the 46.
Forsberg, by the way, up 14 positions from where he started, sitting in that 14th spot right now. Hamilton up 16 positions. And Nick Billingsley, who had a problem in that first race, he's up 16 spots. He's in 10th.
Unbelievable. Kircher has lost a couple spots on that sector. Didn't go the right direction for him. DiGiacomo's in this group as well. And spreading out. Now those Sunoco cars are kind of in a space of their own, just clicking away laps, but they've got the speed to move up. And again, this series operates effectively as a two-day format. GLTC is all 4 races throughout the weekend. This series is 2 races on one day, 2 on the next, effectively. So there's a winner for Friday and a winner for Saturday. Right here, though, battle's on, and a big block to the left on the run-up to turn 7.
Yeah, big defense by that car, and the and then a late lunge. He shot through, got that pass done. Look at that.
Wow, big moves here on the run-up to the corkscrew. Down through turn 7 is all happening behind DiGiacomo. So that's Forsberg, or is that Hamilton, I think, that's in this mix now. One of the two. They've got very similar liveries. And into turn 11. I think it's Hamilton, just based on. I see Rosenbaum up the road, or Forsberg's up the road. This is Hamilton back here.
So, but what drives they put in here? This is really impressive. And the thing is making all that happen as you're fighting through the field, you get worried about using up the tires a little bit too much. But again, they're
trouble.
light. The
turn
car,
2 exit, car off. Didn't see what number, but just to spin and continue, and it's right past this whole big group of cars here. Look at this lunge. That is Nate Hamilton past DiGiacomo, and he wasn't waiting around any longer. Through he went.
Yeah, that was really aggressive. That now puts Hamilton up into 16th. And he's just kind of eyeballing, I'm sure, Chris Forsberg. Ooh, a little bit wide run there.
Lots of dust flying over here. And Hamilton wants one more. And that was through on, I think, Parkinson in the 79, and that was one and done. Turn 5, and he's through.
Quick, nicely done. That was passing 2 cars in 3 corners. That's not shabby, is it?
Yeah, I don't think he really ever got to show his pace. We saw that issue on the opening lap in race 1 at turn 11, and then he was off. Ooh, tight squeeze down here into the corkscrew. We saw that off at turn 2 later in the race. That brought out a full course yellow. Big wiggle on the downhill run. And it's a little bit deeper in the field. TJ Hunt experiencing his first race weekend. Haven't really got a chance to watch him race, but I think tomorrow for
Radman.
second place, Greg.
Well, tried the outside and then thought, let me see if I can do the classic over-under, cut down underneath, and Chang defended that beautifully. But Radman, while the Stig is checking out, Radman has come alive again.
This could be the battle for the win. Remember, the Stig sometimes dips out in these races, so Chang and Radman, the battle is on, and Radman's got Chang locked in the crosshairs here, and there's some traffic ahead as well.
There is. Ooh, and Radman, late move, too late, not going to make that work. But he still managed to roll some great speed through 5.
Didn't give up anything, actually. I think he spooked Chang just enough to give up some of his exit speed. Now through 6. And how patient can you be? We're running out of time. I'd expect a white flag very soon.
Yeah, and you can't, it's one thing you can't afford to be in grid life sprint racing is patient. You've got to go and get after it now. And Radman, everybody clearing the traffic. I don't think it really hurt anyone there. It just, the timing was nice. Ooh, Chang a little wide of the apex there. And Radman will like that. Whenever you see a guy you're pushing miss apexes a little bit, man, you just put your head down and really want to get after it.
Was that the Stig that just pulled off? I think it was. Is this a checkered we're coming back to either? Even I didn't see the white because it's under the gantry. Could it be a checkered? Rush Stig, checkered flag. He's off, but Alex Chang picks up Rush SR race 2 over Radman by half a second as the Stig pits. As we expect, that'll put Gamma on the podium. Cooper and Andy Vogel picks up a top 5 here.
How about that for Andy? Man, a busy guy. And Gamma not giving it up here. And then Melnick will move up into the 6th spot. 7th will be Gailey. What a drive by Billingsley as he is going to come all the way up. 18 spots Nick made up. That absolutely stellar drive.
Forsberg from 35th to 10th.
Yeah.
Nate Hamilton 34th to, I think it was 12th or 11th.
Yeah.
unbelievable
12,
drives.
Yeah, that's 19 spots Nate made up.
That is crazy. I don't know that we've ever seen a drive like that in Rush SR.
No, and that was essentially in a 13-minute race.
That's just unbelievable. What a race. And I think, you know, we had a little bit of pushing and shoving around here and there, but Forsberg up into 10th place. And with that, Rush SR Race 2 is complete. We're going to step away for a brief moment, and it's the first race of the weekend for GRIDLIFE Touring Cup coming up right after this.
Hi, I'm Chris Forsberg, and I want to tell you about Valvoline's Flex-Fill Gear Oil, which is designed by car people for car people. It comes in a pouch, which is specifically made to work in tight spaces, and it saves me time versus the old pumping method, so I can focus on things like keeping my drivetrain running clean. Unlike the pump, the Flex-Fill pouch leaves no wasted oil and no wasted time. Plus, it keeps my garage nice and clean from any spills. All you gotta do is put the nozzle where you need some oil, give it a squeeze, and you're ready for the road. That's why I protect everything in my garage with Valvoline. Valvoline, trusted for over 150 years.
Welcome to our world. A world of dirt, drift, and dodging fate. A world where all of motorsport collides. A world of digging deep, of grit, glory, and bitter defeat. Inhabited by the strong, the fearless, the barely sane. Welcome to our world. Welcome to the world of NOS.
High performance, year-round traction, long tread life. It's one tire with multiple personalities. Introducing the Azenas FK460, Falcon's all-new ultra-high-performance all-season tire. With an advanced rubber compound that delivers confidence through every curve, in any condition, all year long, making the seemingly impossible possible. Learn more about the Azenas FK460 at falcontire.com.
And back live from WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. GRIDLIFE Laguna's second time we've been here with our festival tour, and we're about ready to get rolling for GRIDLIFE Touring Cup race number 1. Welcome, one and all, to WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Built in 1957. It's changed a little over the years here, Greg, but it's just been an unbelievable weekend so far. We got a lot of racing coming up here this afternoon. GLTC Race 1 with a nearly 40-car field. Here's a look at the course, and, of course, 250 drivers and teams competing across all of our competition series here. Expected attendance north of 10,000 people. But Greg, this is GLTC, our single class sprint racing series, about to take the green.
And this is one of the most unique racing series, road racing or otherwise, in the country, perhaps in the world, because of the rules in it, where you have Corvettes going up against Honda Civics and everything you can imagine in between. Engine swaps are allowed, and but it's all done. And Adam Jabay and his team have created this power to weight with minor modifiers. It's simplicity in elegance, and it works, because you get all of these different types of cars, same class. It is high-speed checkers.
It certainly is. And this live stream is brought to you by Falcon, the official tire of GRIDLIFE Track Battle, and NOS Energy, the official energy drink sponsor of GRIDLIFE and the title partner of the NOS Energy Track Battle Time Attack. 2.238 miles around here. Greg, this racetrack has been here a long time, since 1957. It hasn't always looked like this, but it has been here, and that corkscrew has been here since the original days.
Yeah, the early days, you just connect the Andretti hairpin up to turn 5, but then they put in this infield section, creating 3, 4, and then back up to turn 5. Turn 5, critical corner here, as that leads you into the big elevation climb up these hills and up into one of the most angular turns in motorsports, the momentum kill, as I called it, turn 6. And you can see how angular that is, with a huge compression right at the apex that you've got to be really up on the wheel and planning for, and that leads you up into not only the legendary corkscrew, but a pretty good overtaking area.
Yeah, down into the corkscrew, into the rainy curve. How about 11 stories of drop down to turn 10? carry some camber there into that 10th corner, and 11, another great passing opportunity. The last chance you'll get to try to go for the win here in this 12 to 15 minute race. That completes the lap here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. It's just one of America's top 10 racetracks, maybe top 5, depends on who you ask. It is unbelievable. And we're about ready to go racing on it for the first time. Power to weight, 12.5 pounds per horsepower here, give or take. Everyone's got a little different style and going fast. We've got 2 Lotuses in the field here today.
I like Lodi.
We've never had those before.
Yeah,
really
cool.
excited. Justin Ross, his first time on pole, alongside Tony Marchev, all the way from the Chicago area. Matan Rosenberg, the championship runner-up at the moment. He starts third. Jack Wischmeyer, Peter Zhang, 4th and 5th. Daniel Gerardo, Larry Moore, John Vo, Adam Wood, and Alex Audi, your top 10, Greg. We might get an extra pace lap because they are not that formed up in the back.
No, they're really chasing the back of the field here, trying to catch up, and that might end up being a wave off. One of the reasons is what happens is you get the front of the field coming up to the line, and they're maintaining the pace car speed, and the guys in the back are just steaming up at ridiculous speeds, and that can really cause problems. So you know that race control is watching the video here very closely and will make that determination, and we'll see how it's going to play out. But I just love GRIDLIFE Touring Cup, some of the most compelling and interesting, and we're green.
Green flag, and we're racing at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. There's Justin Ross leading the field down to turn 2. And right in behind, Matan Rosenberg. If he wins 3 races this weekend, he could lead the championship heading into the last rounds of the season. He trails in behind Ross. They're 3 wide. One of the cars, I think that's that Lotus Exige, that's a little wide, and we're still 3-0 across leaving turn 2.
Yeah, big wiggle there as well. But I'll tell you what, Peter Zhang really darn near made the move around San Diego's Jack Wischmeyer and grabbed that 5th spot away. You can just see them now heading up into turn 4. There they are, still side by side. Wischmeyer on the inside. Whoa. And then Zhang, and then a couple of cars back really wide.
Larry Moore, I think.
That's Moore.
Yeah, just a little slip and slide out to the exit of turn 4. He had to gather it up. Here comes Adam Wood to the outside. And another one of those Lotuses that we saw. That there's an Exige and an Elise that are in this field. First time into turn 6. Sparks out from underneath Marchev, and Wischmeyer's off.
Oh boy, look at that. Just keeping it pinned as he shot up the hill. He's going to still lose a lot of spots. But man, that's how you deal with it, because the minute you lift, you're just, absolutely dead meat, so to speak here. So he gave it his all here as he streams down the hill. But Matan Rosenberg really fended off Wischmeyer while he was dealing with Zhang, and has solidified that 3rd spot right now. Big weekend potential for Matan, as you mentioned.
And Daniel Geraldo in that Lexus IS, that's a really unique vehicle. I think the only Lexus we've ever seen in GRIDLIFE Touring Cup. He was at Willow Springs earlier this year with a much smaller field, and I'm excited to see that he is able to really keep pace with the front runners, chasing Peter Zhang in that number 28. Remember last year, Peter Zhang got sideways at turn 6, was center track, stopped in a terrifying spot, and he managed to get away from that situation. And here he is running top 5 and a pass. That's
Wischmeyer trying to come
fire.
back through the pack here.
Oh, contact.
Touch there, yep.
And that's Wischmeyer on Audi. It's going to knock the 162 out wide, and he's in the dirt. Saves it, though.
Yeah, that was a nice save, and Wischmeyer backed off just a little bit. I think that was the, sorry about that, and I'm going to let you have that clean here. And then Wood right behind him.
Yeah, it's created a little stack up with Wood and Moore and Vo. And Vo is in the 75 car, which I got to get my Lotuses straight. The 75 is the Exige. You see that tiny little red car running behind the massive M3.
Just sort of disappears when it gets into traffic in a way here. And, that little off that Wischmeyer had backed up some of the people. And there's about a 2-second gap from Marchev in 3rd, back to Zhang and the rest of the pack, 4th, 5th, 6th. Coming back here.
Wow, Rosenberg is on the limit. He is chasing Ross. He was a second back at the stripe, and it's far less than that now as they work through Rainy Curve.
Well, I think, we talked about this in qualifying. It's a longer session, and Matan may have run out of tire a little bit. But here, one thing he knows how to do, that Corvette's wide, and if he can get by on Ross, then Matan will defend. And he defends clean, but he can defend a little bit here. But Ross has been so fast lap thus far. And Marchev has dropped a bit too, hasn't he?
He has, and Matan Rosenberg has just filled the mirrors of Ross. Just ran the best lap of the race. Ross is going to leave the door open. Here comes Rosenberg on the brakes into the Andretti hairpin. Battle for the lead in GLTC. Rosenberg chasing a championship. He's got to log some wins here this weekend to keep the hopes alive.
And look at Ross fight back though, Kyle.
And he's got it. Overlap into turn 3. And he's going to squeeze through. Matan's still drivers left. They're still side by side.
And that's one of the rules, folks. This is your first time you're watching GRIDLIFE Touring Cup. If you have any overlap, that guy that you've overlapped on has to give you that piece of track. That's why they're racing so clean.
Into turn 5. Now it's going to be advantage Rosenberg. Ross tries to keep the overlap on the outside. That's tough, man. But he's done it. What a move there by Ross. He is not going to go down without a fight, and he clears Rosenberg.
Well, and that's one of the things that you hear me harping about a lot in variety types of announcing is Rosenberg now squares it up, puts that torque to good use. And looks like he might clear Ross by the time they get up into the breaks that he does.
And he's through, and that was just, I think, a factor of Rosenberg's car sticking so much better down to the center of turn 6. He just squirted out of there like nothing else, and he's got the lead. A familiar place for the 19-year-old in GLTC.
Yeah, that was just an absolute, and knowing that he was going to have those tires come up to temp and pressure really a little bit quicker because of the extra weight he's carrying. Meanwhile, in the back, that's a great run here. Watching Moore as he's trying to fight back through the field right now, up into 9th. That might have been the move for 8th. I think it was.
And here's John Vo and the Exige on the attack of Adam Wood as well, and into the mix. A couple other, Wood's off in the gravel. That's a all-wheel drive.
Yeah,
power down.
Exactly. Use what your car offers you here. And Wishmeyer has fought his way back up into 6th now, and is not that far off of the back of Giraldo in this battle as well.
And Rosales in that Civic has tracked down Vo as well. A little bit of a battle behind Wood. I think that's George Kustumbartis that's made his way up into 12th. Indeed he has. 5-car fight now for 8th place. And the underbody doing some wonders perhaps for that Exige. Making their way to turn 4. And Civic, Impreza, Miata, Exige, M3.
You gotta love it. I mean, seriously. Here comes more.
S2000. We'll throw that in there too. Why not?
Why not? We got the mix.
That's Nick Steniford, I believe, in the number 87. Familiar to us from running with us all over the country in the past. Kustumbartis out to the edge of the road.
And want to give a shout out as well to Fiona Liu, who is knocking on the door of a top 20. She was a regular with GRIDLIFE when she lived back in the eastern part of the country, but has moved out here. We haven't seen her, but great to have her back in this battle.
Vitas Aronowskis in that yellow and white car. He's come all the way from the Chicago area as well. There's Rosales. This is a car that ran up in the front last year under the driving of Adam Bow, who is elected now to take control over the 2004 Lotus Elise, the number 97 car that's down the order. A little lockup down there into 11, though.
Yeah, Rosales sitting in a nice top 10 right now. And here comes Wishmeyer. Giraldo just set his personal best. And Wishmeyer, though, is right on his 6. You can see Marchev and Zhang up in front. Zhang closing on Tony here for that final podium spot, Kyle.
Yeah, and this battle's going to be a lot of fun. Lexus IS versus BMW. We don't see a lot of those Lexus platform cars. They've got great potential. They're a little on the heavy side, but the engine under the hood of that car is very, very stock. So there's not a lot that he's done to, as far as reliability mods. It's just effectively, a caged race car that he's made out of that Lexus, and it looks the part too.
It looks sharp. Yeah,
and I think he's running the Maxxis tire, just judging by the hood decals there. That's a tire that we see a lot out here in California.
Yeah.
It is on the list of approved tires for GLTC. We rarely see them on the East Coast or Midwest. Sparks out from underneath. Is there debris in the track? Is that
a little bit?
Can't tell if that's a reflection or if that's something on course there, but.
I think, though, that Giraldo's, that car looks to be getting kind of loose. I saw him really floating a bit of a slide through turn 5, and Wishmeyer, as a result, got a little bit of a run on him here. And this battle will continue between these two. I just wonder if Alex Audi in the 162 has anything left for these if they get into a scrap. And there is a podium on the horizon. Zhang and Marchev are
beginning a duel for that. Justin Ross just ran his best lap and reeled in Matan by 0.3 of a second. That might not be over for the lead.
Might not. Marchev and Zhang, we were talking about that battle is well, Marchev has lit the fuse. Chang was all over the back of him, and then Tony has just escaped and opened up that margin by about a second and almost second and a half. So he really drove a lap.
There's Marchev and Zhang. Marchev is in a K-Swap Honda S2000, and Zhang has a LS in his FRS, so it's a V8 powered car. Certainly a unique build. He's offered me the keys to it a couple of times, and someday I want to take him up on that.
Oh, I think you should. Absolutely. Chassis you're familiar with.
Very much so. And then there's that Geraldo and Wishmeyer fight. So it's 2, 2, and 2. First, third, and fifth that are all on defense right now.
And I'm sure Wishmeyer's beating himself up a little bit after having that off. Just really attacked turn 6 and probably didn't have the tires quite up to the right temp. And stayed with it, but lost a number of spots, and has just been really diligent fighting back. Look at this. Is that Moore?
Yeah, it was Moore and Vo. They went off into 6 really tight together, and I think Moore kind of panic braked there with Vo on the inside. They just didn't know if they were going to come out in one piece or not. Ooh, lock up for Vo.
Well, and one thing that I think needs to really be made clear, again, to people that might be watching this for the first time, unlike other series, whether it's the top level, IMSA and the like, or club racing, GLTC racing is a non-contact version of the sport. And that's why we have the overlap rule. And what happens is you'll get cars going side by side for 5-6 corners. And the idea is race with respect. If the guy's got his nose alongside you, give him that piece of racetrack. And which makes it difficult sometimes for, like a Matan Rosenberg here, to defend on Ross.
Yeah, Ross has been coming back. We've documented his faster laps. Still not faster than Rosenberg's fastest, but it seems like Matan's car is fading a bit, and Ross is sensing that, smells the blood in the water. There's some lap traffic here that they're going to navigate. But Justin Ross is not going to let Rosenberg just drive away with this.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. That Corvette, a little bit heavier, and with a lot of these corners here, even though it's a short track, the corners are long duration. So you're really pounding right there on those rights. And you pounded those lefts through 3 and 4. You pound the rights 5, 6, and up into the corkscrew. And it just takes its toll on the tires, and they overheat a bit.
Yeah, Matan really laid on the brakes into the corkscrew. You can see when that car is wiggling a little at the limit of grip on the brakes. I would expect a white flag next time by. We're getting pretty late here in this race session. And Rosenberg leads the way. That was a great corner for Matan, though. Gained 5 or 6 car lengths through Rainey.
Yeah, but if you can get that done, that really helps you be able to, right there, have 2-3 car lengths at least, so the guy can't throw something at you down into that turn 11 on the last lap.
Oh, we didn't get a white. We're going to get at least 2 more.
Nice.
And Matan, much better lap that time through.
Ooh, and Wishmeyer, we didn't see it, but he got through on Geraldo. He is now up into 5th. That's a great fight back for the San Diego Slash.
Tony Marchev has found himself sort of all alone. Still under pressure from Zhang, but it's a little further back, and actually looked like the 17 kind of missed his corner there a little. Yeah. There's that Wishmeyer and Geraldo battle that we were documenting earlier, and I don't think it's done.
I don't think so. He got through, but there's not a lot of margin there. And we'll see what he's going to be able to do here. That's a bimmer for Wishmeyer, right?
Yep.
Is that an E36?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Wait. What is Wishmeyer in? It has an interesting rear glass.
It does. That's what's got me a little.
Oh, it's a Civic.
It's a Civic.
Oh, it is a Civic.
It is. Okay.
Man, I called that wrong.
Me too. Well, I think you're right with that. Just a unique look to the back end, but he is flowing it beautifully now. I'll tell you what. Looking at his lap times, had he not had that moment at the start, he would be right up in this. I mean, he's been running 39s for quite a while now. The only guys that are quicker are Rosenberg and Ross at high 138s.
Down the corkscrew, and for the lead, here comes Justin Ross. He wants the lead back in GLTC. Late lunge on the brakes into turn 11. He cracks the door open. Rosenberg leaves the space, out into the runoff. Tires in the dirt. Are we coming to the white? Here we go. Ross, Rosenberg battling for the lead. And there's the white flag. One more to go.
So now Matan, he's got to go into attack mode. He's going to try and do the outside. This is doable, but again,
flames out the tailpipes of the 47.
Yeah, and the problem is that 47 is a bit lighter, and it's really going to be difficult. Matan almost needs a mistake here.
Yeah, he might get one.
He got him offline there.
Yeah, if he can get to the inside here at 4.
He's there.
Side by side into turn 4. That's a bit of a lunge from Rosenberg to try to keep the overlap. And they're side by side for the lead here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Justin Ross searching for his first victory in GLTC. Rosenberg looking for one of many.
And Rosenberg wants to keep him pinned, not give him all that room to just carry the speed. He did it. He's easing ahead just a little bit. He cleared him.
He motors by him on the run up the hill. Through turn 6, Ross is running out of opportunities to take down one of the juggernauts of GRIDLIFE Touring Cup. Rosenberg's on a mission to earn as many points as he can in this crowd, and Ross would love to take some away.
Oh boy, here we go. Last time down through the corkscrew. And we saw Matan nail the corkscrew through Rainey last time and build up a couple of car lengths here. But we've got traffic up front too. And if Matan plays this right, and he's going to get balked big time. He loses a lot of momentum. And here we go. Ross trying, goes to the outside, Kyle.
Down into turn 11, Ross the long way around. Can he cross him over? Big slide out to the dirt. And Rosenberg is going to come out of turn number 11. And for the 7th time this season, he'll pick up a win in GLTC. Ross is denied in the final sequence of corners. He could not do it amongst all odds there with the lap traffic in the way.
Oh, he gave it so much, but Matan, I'll tell you, that was a lot of good fortune for Matan there. Marchev into that 3rd spot, Zhang in 4th, and Wishmeyer up into 5th. What a fight back.
That was unbelievable. They were absolutely scrapping for the top step there. And while the rest of the field, Vo grabs a 7th over Alex Audi. This rest of the field still coming around to finish. Those leaders put a huge gap on the rest of the field in that battle.
Oh, they just flat checked out. Running, as I said, they were consistently in the high 38s. Nobody else, save Wishmeyer, was better than a high 39. And even Marchev, and looking at Zhang, looking at Vo, all in the 140s. Those two guys up front were in a little bit of a different level.
Kevin Bandy, Fiona Liu take the checkered flag here. And a few others will make their way back around the 350Z there. It looks a little off pace, but that I believe is Lapid in the 424 Nissan. And he'll pick up a spot here. Anthony Dominici seems like he's dropped down the orders just a little ways. But Greg, what an unbelievable battle. Matan Rosenberg, Justin Ross, Tony Marchev, Peter Zhang, Jack Wishmeyer, your top 5. And that last lap battle for the lead changed hands almost twice there. That was good fun.
That was epic. That was epic. And that was, basically horsepower versus light and agile. And it just worked out in traffic that Matan got held up badly in that moment, but was smart enough to go way to the inside and just say, I got to just stay left, brake hard, and just square up that 11th turn. And Ross, trying to do something with it, ran wide, lost his momentum.
Yeah, that was great. There's a look down the rest of the order. Oscar Jackson and Jonathan Lugan had to pull off earlier for some mechanical issues. Other than that, what a fun time. We're going to get a great look here at the highlights for this race. Let's go back and take a gander here in just a moment's time. By the way, that was Matan's 7th win of the season, and it pulls him within 11 points of Luke McGrew's lead. Here's a look. First lap of the race there. The Lotus slipped out wide. Vo could not get grip in the marbles. That opening lap, though, the 47 shot out of a cannon.
Yeah, there's more having that moment when he lost a lot of ground here. And there's Wishmeyer, and got it. He saw that wiggle. Darn near kept it on the green stuff. Couldn't, but then just kept it binned. But you can see he lost about 5-6 spots, Kyle.
Into turn 2, the Andretti hairpin. A little bit of battling there, contact between Wishmeyer and Audi. Audi chased that car across the road, and then the battle for the top step. Matan Rosenberg squeezed by Justin Ross, but he would not let it go. And then even into turn 5, this was a great battle. And just he outmotored Matan. That's tough to do. But then in turn 6, this is where Rosenberg got it back.
Yeah, just see how he squared that up a little bit and then just used the torque of that V8 to be able to pull up alongside. And then back in the pack, this was a massive battle for a lot of it. But then here this last lap started. This is when it got really fun.
Yeah, Ross found a way around Rosenberg, who dropped a tire in the dirt. A little bit of side-by-side on the last lap, but Rosenberg knows the strength of his race car. He thought the opportunity might have been up the hill, and here he goes. Motors the 47 on the outside into turn 6, and once he hit this compression, we thought it was all she wrote because of how strong that 484 has been. Right here, gets blocked by the lap traffic, can't hit the disappear button. Ross just didn't have anywhere to go.
Yeah, Matan did exactly what he needed to do, was just move left and let Ross try and free float around the outside. He did, but a little bit too hot.
Yeah, he gave it everything he had, didn't he? To try to bring that back home in P1. And fastest lap is going to grid us for the second race tomorrow. And I think that was Rosenberg that was able to cling to that. So what a battle there for GLTC race number 1. It is Rosenberg. He will start on pole tomorrow. We've got drift coming up, though, so we're going to take a quick break after GLTC race 1, and we'll be right back after this.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has won the Daytona 500. You spend thousands of hours on the road.
Can he do it again?
Feel hundreds of horses under the hood. But every race, lap, and victory you get starts at 0. New NOS, 0 sugar. 0 sugar, 100% NOS, get after it.
Falcon Azenas RT660 is the enthusiast choice for ultra-high performance. Engineered for predictable handling and stability, the RT660 provides maximum traction both on and off the track. Your competitive edge has arrived with the Falcon Azenas RT660.
Well, it wouldn't be Grid Life without a little bit of sideways action to finish off a day on the Grid Life broadcast. Looking at all the wildlife out here, but it's about to get a little more wild on the racetrack. Kyle Heyer joined by Gray Sitton here for an afternoon of drift at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Back here from Grid Life Laguna, my name's Kyle Heyer. Got Gray Sitton. Gray alongside me. Gray, we didn't get to commentate the earlier session, but now we do. And boy, oh boy, do we have some people in the crowd here today that have put on a show for us.
Yeah, and what a treat it is to bring drifting to such an historic, legendary track like this and see these pro cars and locals get down and party for us. And see Field here just ripping it up the front straight. Seems like last year Matt Kaufman set the tone as far as what line to take around here. And I've seen a lot of inspiration among the other drivers on front straight.
They figured out what was possible, and then now they're going to try to one-up Matt Kaufman from last year. The first session was a lot of fun. We saw drivers experimenting with how much they could link, but this 59-foot drop here and 109 feet from here to the exit Rainy Curve, this is a huge, huge drop. And like I said earlier, it's like something you do in Forza you never dreamed you could do.
Yeah, a drift train down the horseshoe is Forza-like for sure, and it's something we never imagined seeing here ever, but it's super cool seeing all these beautiful cars, beautiful people just driving.
And big sends into turn 2 here. Turn 1's that kink at the top of the hill.
And this is Animal Style right here. You got Jason being chased by Palmer. These are local NorCal team Animal Style. These guys have been inspirational in building up the team style of drifting. And you can see here, they're not as fast as the other cars, but they're glued to each other. And they really set this tone with their style.
Whoop!
Jason just going a little bit off course.
So explain to me the team style of drifting. What's that all about?
Yeah, so instead of being judged on going against another person and judging your lead and their follow and vice versa, you go up as a team and you go out there and try to set the best lap that you can in front of a bunch of judges. This format is popular amongst Final Bout and other drifting series within the States. And yeah, Animal Style and Final Bout have been pretty important in building that style of drifting. Team style is not as common as just normal duo tandem, but it seems to be making a rise here in the States.
Yeah, really cool. And again, I think drift in general, we talked, Gray, in past events about how, you know, it's a progressing sport. There's a lot of new stuff coming out, a lot of new drivers experimenting with things and styles and formats. But here it's all about the fun of the driving. And we get to see guys from Pro Series hanging it out here.
Yeah, we got Odie. And we got
Zielinski?
Chris Forsberg just hopped out of the Rush SR car.
Is that Zielinski in the green?
No, that's Forrest Wang right there.
Oh, Forrest Wang, that's right.
Also a NorCal native. Lots of NorCal natives out here. Super stoked to have them.
That's right. I remember Forrest from last year.
Yeah, Forrest Wang, one of the style icons of Formula Drift. Let's see how he approaches this first.
I'd love to be a style icon someday in anything.
I could see it in fashion, dude. You become more fashionable every day coming into the office.
More buttons, dude. Yeah, it's all about the buttons.
Yeah, and you can see Forrest Wang kind of taking a mellow approach to that second turn right there. I was up on the hill earlier, and I was looking at other drivers' initiations. You can see everyone trying to find their own unique line throughout the course since it's so big and there's so much variation among these cars. Not everyone's going to be running the same line, and so you'll see different drivers on different lines trying to figure it out over the weekend, but usually Friday sessions are a little bit more chill. People are just trying to figure out their flow.
Yeah, kind of figure out the racetrack. Again, this isn't a place that you can just go practice any old Wednesday.
Almost had a backy. Almost a backy.
He backed over that curb, that's for sure.
Dipped his toe in the sand.
And there's a lot of sand on the racetrack now as well. But
oh, yeah. I'm sure it's helping some of these guys continue those drifts, for sure.
Yeah, tell me about, we were talking earlier about grip in a drift car and how important it is, and maybe in a way that wouldn't be obvious. So when you're setting up a drift car, do you want more grip in the front, more grip in the rear? How important is your tire selection to all this?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, and grip is a lot more important than most people think. They think, oh, yeah, at the rear end of the car, so it's be super loose. It should kick out everywhere and not have...
Oh,
Matt Kaufman!
Oh, he
almost
tried to
had
repeat
it.
the magic.
Almost had it.
He tried.
We almost had a golden moment there. But, yeah, you can see he's super gripped up, and he's straightened, and so... You can play with your tire pressure at tracks to kind of give you that edge and maybe a little bit more loose where you need it to be and a little bit more tight wherever else you need it to be. But usually most guys stick with a softer, kind of not as grippier tire in the front and as much grip as you can pack in the back because you really want that rear end to just shove that front end wherever it wants to go, and you want to steer by throttle, not by steering wheel.
Yeah, so here's another thing that we were talking about earlier is how busy the pedal box gets.
Oh, yeah.
Explain the difference between your handbrake and your foot brake as far as the dynamics of being sideways in a long corner, right? What's that going to do if you go for the foot brake versus the handbrake?
Yeah, so the foot brake, if you slam on it, it's going to pivot the rear end of the car a little bit more and give you that angle. And also in some cases on banks, as you can see right here, left foot braking will kind of help you keep that angle on a bank without sacrificing that wheel speed. And so left foot braking is a super, super valuable tool, especially within FD. Hand braking, not as much. It's usually just this elongate drifts, or if you're just kind of trying to have a very precise initiation, you want to make sure you set those rear tires wherever you want, then you'll go for the handbrake initiation.
Yeah, the famous clip that we were referencing earlier from Matt Kaufman was basically an initiation that began at the bridge and carried all the way down to the hairpin, all the way to turn 3, all the way to turn 4. And I don't know if he finished the lap because I think Instagram ran out of memory because it was just an unbelievable. It made ESPN, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, it was
Center,
just
ESPN.
So crazy.
Let's see Baby Jason and Palmer come up here. Oh,
got that a little
still
wrong.
figuring it out. Okay. Yeah, you can see a lot of these drivers trying to still figure out that line. And who's this right here? Coming around the corkscrew.
Didn't get a great look at it earlier.
Still in that nice outside zone. And the corkscrew is just such a perfect viewing area for spectators. It's almost like an arena. Oh, who's that?
Is that Kaufman?
I think it's Kaufman.
Oh, man.
Got a little bit too sauced up on that second turn there, and looks like
saucy.
he's going to be dragging that front bumper back.
Sauce in the bottom of the bag, dude.
Oh, Forrest Wang coming in hot after the corkscrew. Just letting those rear tires.
Carry it.
Oh, see. So, yeah, so you saw a little bit of that handbrake initiation to kind of help him elongate and stretch that turn.
And yeah, I think Matt's had an off.
Oh!
Is that the side skirt?
I have never seen a piece of aero come off like that.
Oh, well, all of it. All of it. It just looks like it's Legos that have just come apart.
It looks like it's saying, hey, guys.
I think what happened is he probably just went off driver's right, and it looks smooth out there, but it's not. Probably took a big jump and landed and tore up the underside a little bit.
Yeah, the sand and gravel here is not forgiving at all. You can see Travis Reeder come down through this corkscrew super nicely, followed by Jason from Animal Style. Let's see how he fills out that outside. And I believe that's a stock SR car. So that's making, I think, around 300 horsepower, and he's drifting the corkscrew.
Well, we talked about horsepower earlier and how important it is that this track was repaved only last year, I believe. So it's still really sticky out there. And so you've got to have enough horsepower to generate the wheel speed, especially in these longer, higher, more extended radius sections.
Yeah, a lot of the game is just commitment. And you can see a lot of that through Jason's driving.
I think that is either Cal Fortner or Jerry Liu. That car's running in track battle this weekend as well. I'll bet you there's someone going along for a ride, maybe with a phone in hand.
Oh, yeah. They're having the time of their life, watching cars fly by in the drift taxi session.
Give us a follow on Instagram, GRIDLIFE Official, because there's going to be plenty of that from our side here coming out this weekend.
Yeah. Jason, with some redemption, can he do it? He cannot. And that's okay. And Matt Kaufman is just taking a nice little stroll around
just dragging parts around.
Followed by Odie Bocci's. Let's see how he fills out this zone right here. Second in points for FD this year.
Yeah,
right behind
crushing
James
it.
Dean. Yeah.
He's crushing it.
Yeah, a little sleeper agent.
Bocci's chasing it.
Let's see how he'll pass Kaufman here. Kaufman giving him the thumbs up, saying, go, dude. Fill out that turn.
Oh, beaut.
Oh.
Nicely done.
Yeah, super great season in FD, right behind James Dean, and so may take the cake this year.
Oh, here's a
is that Palmer right there? I think that is. Very nice initiation out of that car. That's a 1JZ E36, and
that's a kind of a wild swap, right?
You would think so, but amongst drifting, it's kind of the go-to. JZs really sit nicely in a lot of E36s, E39s, and stuff like that. And so there's lots of parts out there that will help you do that swap if you want to.
Interesting. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, since JZ is such a popular platform amongst drifting, as well as BMWs. Let's see here.
It's so popular, Toyota and BMW did it themselves later.
Bring 1Js back.
Fields back at it.
Oh, boy, Jason. Full tilt. Letting that 300 horsepower scream.
Looks like he's backing it down here, maybe. Again, 2.2 miles around here, so you can't just light them up the whole way around.
Oh, yeah. The name of the game this weekend is tire consumption. If you got to be real careful going out and not nuking your tires in one lap. You can see Ilya from Team Proceed here. He's one of the founders of Final Bout.
Oh.
As you can see through the styling on that beautiful FD right there.
Yeah, it is absolutely gorgeous. It looks like something you'd get in Seto Corsa or something.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. Unfortunately, not a super popular chassis that you see anymore, at least in drifting. It's very, very few and far in between that you see them out there.
They're hard to get. I feel like they would be hard to get a nice one.
Not even hard to get. They are rare and hard to get, but I think it's making them drive well and competitive can be the difficult part. RX-7s aren't the race car. Oh, Palmer trying to put it on the pro door. Let's see here.
This has been a fun transition.
He's not letting up. He's sticking to it.
So someone just went out the roof. You see that?
Yeah. Pulled a Nick Novak losing the roof, man.
I mean, he lost the roof. Actually, we saw that car earlier with the roof coming up, so maybe they just decided to just pull it off.
It's been a possibility. Nick Novak also had an E46, and he lost the roof in an FD Pro round.
What is he doing to the roof?
They take them out, and they put carbon fiber because it looks cool, and it's lightweight, and then they forget to put Loctite on the rivets. They go, whee!
Here we go.
Palmer.
There's a hood down there, I think.
Let's see. Will he back it? Oh, he kind of gets out of it a little bit. You can see every go, though, he's getting better and better and finding that perfect line for that car.
The track kind of, as you go down into 2, it falls away to the left. So there's a lot of weight transition happening here that I think you just need reps to kind of understand. Yeah. And I think once Kaufman had that figured out last year, game on.
He let it go, for sure.
And he did the same at Road America. I mean, he just has figured it out. Full course drifting is Kaufman's thing.
Another C5 coming out.
Clean C5. Yellow, yellow, yellow.
Yeah, you never really see OEM C5 drift builds, I feel like. They're like usually mangled or like full pro build.
Yeah, but
is that a roof?
It's either a roof or a hood.
Roof, a hood?
I found my hood! Remember that? Pull the movie out. Great. What is that movie?
That's Toe Mater right there.
There you go. I would say it's one of 3. The only 3 movies I've ever seen in my life.
That's all you need to see, dude. That's all you need to see. We got some FCP cars out here, too. Very, very
Is that Essa
rare.
behind the wheel? I thought it was Essa. He's on the list.
I believe it might be. He driving that Audi right there.
Yeah.
Audis that you don't really see around drifting, as well as that there's a Porsche Cayenne out there. It's one of the most interesting vehicles I've definitely seen. But yeah, FCP Euro building super unique chassis and bringing them out to the West Coast to come party with everyone.
Just a few minutes left here in the session, about 4 until we're wrapped for the day here. So they'll get their last moments in, and
you can see Hurt going up there in the Torque Stallion. Fresh motor in that thing.
Forsberg looked awful slow there.
Yeah, maybe had a mechanical failure. Palmer letting her eat on that backside.
Whoop!
You can just hear the limiter on that JZ. Oh. Hurt
getting after
RX-7.
Oh, just a little. Ooh. You know those yellow things, no touchy.
Yeah, I think Chris is going to be coming in looking under that front subframe after that.
Oil pant.
Oh.
no more.
Oil cannot. Hurt in that beautiful RX-7. Fresh LS turbo build after many engine mishaps this season.
Oh boy.
Oh, and
on the front straightaway.
Wild
just
Manji
painting the track left or right.
I have literally never seen a line like that in my entire life, but you know, to each their own.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, draw your name on it. Yeah. You might as well, right? Beauty.
It's like going full tilt in that first turn too. Straightens out a little bit. Yeah, Fridays, everyone's still figuring out their line, saving up their tires for tomorrow.
How many tires are you going through this weekend?
Depend. 300 horsepower. Let's say you compare Jason to a pro car. Jason's probably going for about 6 pairs of tires this weekend, and pro car is probably going through about 20 or so.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of tire.
Yeah.
Look at the scenes of WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. You know, the GRIDLIFE's mission has been motorsports inclusion, bringing drift cars drifting to tracks that have never seen it. Watkins Glen, Mid-Ohio, Laguna Seca, Lime Rock Park. That's kind of been the MO the last few years.
Yeah.
And it had happened here a long time ago, but not really in this full force capacity. And what a special spectator experience for those up on the corkscrew.
Oh yeah, in the past there has been a few demo days and drift days, but not any near to this capacity. And it's I can't emphasize how much of a privilege it is to have these cars out here and see them drive. It's truly a historical moment within drifting, as Odie comes full tilt right after that corkscrew.
Getting after it.
Get on that e-brake, sitting that drift right there, touching that inside zone.
I just love when you hear the woof, 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 like they're feathering the throttle.
He's
just
loading
feeling it
up.
out.
He's loading up.
That's great.
Everyone trying to find their line. Kurt coming in on that corkscrew again and that beautiful Torque Stallion.
Gotta be such a tricky thing to deal with the weight dynamics of kind of landing at the bottom of the corkscrew.
Oh, yeah. Palmer, as you see on screen, he was talking to me last time, and he said, yeah, I went off course almost every single time because there's such a crazy dip after that corkscrew that you have to be full throttle. You cannot be uncommitted from that. And usually when you're... come on,
he made it. If there was a commitment cone, he would have knocked it over.
Oh,
but
yeah.
All right, what a day.
A little too hot.
What a day. WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca and GRIDLIFE Laguna. Great final thoughts on that drift session.
You know, it wasn't the craziest session, but I got my hopes up for tomorrow. Everyone's saving their tires. Everyone's saving that skill for tomorrow. And I think that'll be the big one for us.
Well, it was an exceptional day here from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Racing and Rush SR and GLTC already hotly contested. Battles for the win in all those races. The NOS Energy Track Battle Championship, we've already reset the GRIDLIFE track record with that Mark IV Ford GT. Plenty more coming tomorrow. If you're on the East Coast tomorrow, just after noon, 12:15 is when we're going to fire up. It'll be 9:15 Pacific time for the NOS Energy Track Battle Championship Qualifying 2. And it is a full day of racing, drifting, time attack, and more on Saturday from GRIDLIFE Laguna. For Kyle Heyer, for Grace Sitton, and for Greg Creamer, thanks so much for joining us today, and we'll see you for Day 2 of GRIDLIFE Laguna 2024.
Welcome to our world. A world of dirt, drift, and dodging fate. A world where all of motorsport collides. A world of digging deep, of grit, glory, and bitter defeat. Inhabited by the strong, the fearless, the barely sane. Welcome to our world. Welcome to the world of NOS.
Blake, we need a commercial for GRIDLIFE. Team Eibach drivers, go.
What about Ferris?
Oh, you mean Mr. I'm the fastest Corvette time attack driver in the world? He's too busy in the spotlight right now.
What about Jackie? He's pretty good on camera.
No, he's finally got an actual BMW now, so we don't have any footage.
Essa?
Nah, he's retired now, and he's super YouTube famous.
Util?
That guy lives under his car doing tutorials, not interviews.
I don't know, dude, fine. Just run like B-roll of coilover springs or something.
The Falcon Azenas FK510 tire is engineered for today's high-performance vehicles. Built with added tread rigidity for precise handling and an advanced rubber compound that inspires confidence, rain or shine. Get more out of your sports coupe or sedan with the Azenas FK510.